Have you back soon and appreciate the time.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Appreciate it. And who said that our Congress and Senate can't get anything passed? Welcome back to Hertel. I'm Andrew Donaldson. The Senate passed a bill to make daylight savings time permanent. The Sunshine Protection Act passed the chamber with unanimous consent. The bill would still need to pass the House and be signed by President Joe Biden to become the law. But basically, what's going to happen is if this is confirmed, daylight savings time becomes the norm and no more switching back and forth. Now, people have strong opinions on this one way or the other. Frankly, where I'm at, I don't care either way. Just pick one and stay with it. The idea that we change times is ridiculous. It's antiquated. Get rid of it. People have strong opinions about earlier in the day, later in the day. I don't care. Just pick one and quit switching back and forth. But it also goes to show you it's interesting how our Senate and our Congress can move very rapidly when they want to. This was a unanimous vote by voice. Why can't we do more things like that? Begs to ask questions like that. More Hertel right after this.
Hey everyone, Ben Hawkins here with Cross Country Mortgage. Rates are still at historic lows, and there has never been a better time to purchase your dream home or refinance your existing. With over 300 loan products including conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, renovation, and jumbo, we are certain we have the right loan product for you and your family. Call me today to be pre-qualified to make the offer on your next dream home. 910-352-3373 or visit my website at lendwithben.com.
There has never been a better time to go to college. Class of 2021 high school graduates, you don't want to miss this. You may be eligible to have your tuition and fees covered at Cape Fear Community College for 2 years, beginning this fall through the North Carolina Longleaf Commitment Grant. This is money that does not need to be repaid and covers tuition toward a degree or towards transfer credit to a 4-year school. This is your chance to make it happen at CFCC for free. Find out more at cfcc.edu/NCGrant.
One Love Tennis started in 2013 to give back to young boys and girls. We now go through 460 kids a week that are learning about life skills, learning to succeed in life through academics and tennis. Putting those two together, if you do them well, you can write your own ticket. To get involved in this program, go to our website, one-love-tennis.org.
Welcome back to Hertel. We always try to end on a positive note, something Alice Watson-Brown touched on in her interview today. More than 100,000 Brits sign up to house Ukrainian refugees. This is from the Washington Post. Homes for Ukraine, a new program is known, launched Monday afternoon. Within 6 hours, 44,000 Brits had signed up before the government website crashed. Less than a day later, more than 100,000 had registered their interest in taking a refugee with the reamped website. Malcolm Pollard, 66, is among those who hope to welcome a Ukrainian family into his home. He runs a village shop in Kirk Ireton, a village about 140 miles north of London. He and his wife are now empty nesters in their stone home, which was built in the 17th century, has an apartment with a separate entrance. We see awful things and we have available space. If this is what happened in England and our daughter or son needed to escape, we hope someone like this would help us. Unlike other European countries, Britain has not waived visa restrictions. Until this week, only those with families ties to Britain could apply. On Monday, the British government launched a new refugee pathway scheme for those who have no family ties. The government says that the first sponsored Ukrainian refugees are expected to arrive next week. The government will pay $450 a month to house refugees. Hosts who must be vetted are required to offer accommodations for at least 6 months. Ukrainians who arrive in the country on their program will be granted a 3-year visa, allowing them to work and access benefits in the National Health Service. It cannot be right that people who are fleeing Russian aggression have to advertise themselves on social media in the hope that a British family will notice, said Lisa Nandy. James Cleverly, a foreign officer minister, said there's a huge number of people and organizations that have already got connections with Ukrainians. Rather than replicate, duplicate, and slow down, we want to be as agile and quick as possible. This switch comes after fierce criticism that lawmakers and charity and 3/4 of the public who say Britain wasn't doing enough. As of Monday, only 4,000 visas had been processed, but England and the UK signing up Brits to take 100,000 of them to take in refugees. Wonderful news. great moment of light in truly dark times. That'll do it for Heard Tell today. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Very important. You won't miss anything we have going on. Heard Tell every weekday morning. Good talk interview breakouts every afternoon. Long form podcasts on the weekends, twice on Sunday, recap show on Sundays. We appreciate you so much joining us. Make sure you're missing nothing. Make sure you're getting all of the great information and guests that we bring you. And do us a favor. Only cost you a click or two to share us on all your social media. We'd surely appreciate it. So until we see you again tomorrow, for more Heard Tell, wherever you and yours are, across the street or around the world, we hope you're well. We hope you are well fed. And we'll talk to you tomorrow on Heard Tell. All the music on Heard Tell is provided under a Creative Content license from monstercat.com.
Bringing you the best local talk radio shows, Wilmington's Big Talker 106.7 FM, WFBT, Carolina Beach.
I'm a boat builder. It's a tough job that takes time, patience, and precision. It's also incredibly rewarding. How many people can say they built a boat from scratch? In our area, there's a great need for people who can build and repair boats. I turned my love for life on the water into a career that I truly enjoy. I went to CFCC for 2 years, got my training, and now I look forward to work every day. You can too. Visit cfcc.edu/boatbuilding and get started today.
Teachers and parents, the North Carolina Symphony is here to support you as you carry on the education of your children and students. Take your kids on a free virtual field trip to the Symphony with a virtual education concert and companion student book. Go on a virtual journey to learn what makes music music with music by William Grant Still, Beethoven, Brahms, and more. Access the free video and student book with password 1932 at ncsymphony.org/virtual.
Hello, I'm Jeff Rivenbark with WWAY News. Ukraine's president is preparing to make a direct appeal for more help in a rare speech by foreign leader to Congress today, even as Russia continues its bombardment of the Ukrainian capital. President Vladimir Zelensky suggested there is reason to be optimistic negotiations with the Russian government might yield an agreement. Zelensky says he thanks President Joe Biden and all the friends of Ukraine for $13.6 billion in new support. Meanwhile, in Brunswick County, what started as a small collection for Ukraine has ballooned into a major operation in Oak Island. Volunteers at Ocean View United Methodist Church have been collecting medical supplies, clothes, and baby products to send to refugees in Poland and Ukraine. They'll continue taking donations until noon today and then send everything to Wilmington, where the items will be loaded into cargo containers and shipped. Some Wilmington city leaders are working to get more federal support to help with an ongoing mold problem impacting subsidized housing units. Wilmington Mayor Bill Saffo and Councilman Clifford Barnett and Luke Waddell traveled to Washington, D.C. to meet with members of Congress and other federal officials. During the trip, they spoke with the Department of Housing and Urban Development about ongoing issues the Wilmington Housing Authority is facing, specifically with mold. And Governor Roy Cooper says North Carolina's economy has fully returned to the employment level it enjoyed before the pandemic. The state's economy recovered to pre-pandemic employment levels last July, with the GDP level recovering even earlier. The state's economy is expanding, with job growth being high relative to other states. However, with inflation and high gas prices affecting the whole country, Cooper says the state's government needs to find ways to make these costs more affordable while continuing to bring good-paying jobs to the state. For more on these stories, head over to WWAYTV3.com. I'm Jeff Rivenbark. Have a great day.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your Storm Track 3 forecast. Cloudy skies and mild temperatures are in store for us today. If you're away from the coast, we should get into the low 70s later this evening, but an area of low pressure will bring in some moisture to the Cape Fear region. Some heavier downpours looking likely later this evening. Even a low-end risk for a few strong to severe thunderstorms. Main concern will be gusty winds, but as we head into the overnight hours, showers should come to an end by Thursday morning as our temperatures remain mild, dropping down into the upper 50s and the lower 60s. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by Two Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to twomenandatruck.com. twomenandatruck.com.
If you want to talk about culture and politics without all the caterwauling, then you'll love Hertel Radio with me, your host, Andrew Donaldson, every weekday morning, 6 a.m. with a replay at 3 p.m. right here on the Big Talker. Catch it on the Listen Live tab on the app or watch on the Facebook page.
Wake up to Good Morning Carolina, weekdays at 5:30 a.m.
And good morning, Carolina. It is a very busy news morning today. I'm Donna Gregory.
And I'm Jeff Rivenbark. We're glad you're starting your Tuesday with us.
Be prepared and ready to go for the day ahead.
For the time being, we are dry and quiet, but we are dealing with some patchy fog.
And catch up with the overnight news you need to know before heading out the door.
We'll have more details and more live coverage in just a few moments.
Get up early for Good Morning Carolina, weekdays at 5:30 a.m.
O'Leary's Automotive Repair has multiple locations in the area in Hampstead, Leland, the Myrtle Grove area, Ogden, and Wrightsboro. O'Leary's Automotive Repair, a trusted, locally owned business since 2006.
Morning, kids. Time to get up. Rise and shine. Grab your book. Hit the bus. That's right. Time to get the day started. When you know if you're running a little bit behind, that's because we sprung ahead and we're all going crazy now. That's right. You're back in the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad. Right here on the Big Talker Network. Part of a family of programming content designed to initiate conversation and solve problems. At least that's the idea. It's also here to entertain you as this is a morning program unlike any others. Please, bigtalker.live. Email us if you would. Any comments, questions, concerns, critiques, or compliments. We can't improve without your feedback, and that's 5 options open to you. I'm sure there are more, but just any, comments, questions, concerns, compliments, or critiques. Kind of like a who, what, where, when, why, how, That's how we get better. And that's why we're here. Right here in Wilmington, North Carolina, southeastern North Carolina coast. The website also has our updated schedule. It keeps getting updated. We keep getting new programming. Case in point, twice on Sundays, beginning last Sunday, and airs at 8 o'clock in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. Premiering at 8 in the morning, along with the Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter video. From Andrew Donaldson, what he's doing is taking the interviews from the week, the 5 interviews, and packing them into a beautiful, condensed 1-hour program. So you get just the conversations, very similar to the Good Talks portion of the YouTube channel, I think it is. I mean, those guys are just geniuses posting digital stuff all over the place. So you get deep dives of these conversations. And we're turning down the, as he puts it, he's turning down the noise. He's making it more understandable so that we get past the 5-word memes for those who have difficulty with multi-syllable utterances from, the English language. It seems that we have perverted our communication to the point that we no longer use the actual language that we have developed over the centuries. We have now reduced ourselves to pictures and icons. Now, part of that argument is supported. Like, if we go back to the beginnings of man, we drew rock pictures, right? Little stick figures of stick figures throwing sticks at stick figures, which was supposed to be our dinner. Now we have icons on everything. Like, since, I would say, the mid-90s, most media players no longer have the word play or pause or stop or rewind or whatever. They just have little icons. A green arrow or a green triangle pointing to the right usually means play. 2 yellow vertical bars usually means pause.
A black square usually means stop. Round red is usually your record button. Double arrow black pointing left is rewind. Double arrows black pointing right is usually fast forward. We don't need words anymore, but that doesn't mean that it's not exclusionary to effective communication. For example, we no longer bother with words like men and women. We just have an icon depicting a dress or a pair of pants so that we can communicate across all of the languages. Here's where your bathroom is. Here's where the telephone is, that sort of thing. So getting into a more iconic version, almost a pictograph or hieroglyphs like, the days of old, that our ability to communicate is limited only by our imagination, really. Unfortunately, in developing that language, there's a difference, and this was educated to me in school, in your types and levels of education. When you're speaking to a child, the adult to the child conversation is a clear two-way communication. However, if the child tries to respond as an adult, you end up crossing over your conversations and no longer communicating effectively. Now, when trying to deal with extremely complicated issues, whether it's war or homelessness or gas prices or anything that tends to get people all bent out of shape, the ones who are repeating the least amount of words the most often are the ones who least understand what is going on. This is where you need to have adult talk. This is where pictograms and emojis are not going to cut it. You can do that when trying to play a TikTok video making fun of the lady who walks right into the car door. But when you're trying to get to the bottom of how do we prevent World War III while preventing World War III while in the middle of a war, and experiencing ginormous gas prices, the reactionary force that we have in keyboard warrior, what do they call those, allied commander of the keyboard warriors, decides to let loose with a meme or some sort of mean-spirited joke that completely misses the point, does absolutely nothing to help. This is a little bit different than trying to hit play on your MP3 player, okay? So let's start there and realize that the more complicated an issue, the more precise our communication needs to be. Me, that's a no-brainer. However, we seem to have that difficulty in the real world, and that should not be the case. Really, it shouldn't. So think about that the next time you're reading an article or writing something on your social or your journal. What type of communication is this? Am I chatting with my friends and making a joke about buying $20 of gas to go? Or are you being an idiot by placing a sticker on a gas pump that says, I did that? Because you're ignorant and you have absolutely no clue what's going on. Yes, these are elements, but no, he did not do that. We did that because of who we voted for and how we're behaving. The people who are doing these I did that stickers are the same people who bought up all the toilet paper when they didn't need to. Obviously, the communication with those people is not working at the highest level. But then again, what do you expect when your entire education has been reduced to Facebook memes? This is not the future I find comforting. So in a nihilistic sense, maybe we should continue. Maybe we should completely burn up the earth, blow it up, radioactively sterilize the entire planet, and start over. Because the rock that we're on was here long before we were. And again, you know, Mother Earth doesn't care if we're here or not. It really doesn't. This rock continues to be a rock spinning around a sun. Coincidentally, with some parasites living on it. Now, for those who say we should care about Mother Earth, the only reason why we should care about Mother Earth is for our own existence. Very similar to how the Cape Fear watershed is being handled, because we're concerned about human water, not about water for planet Earth. Planet Earth does not care. Planet Earth is the ultimate expression of Tao. It is up to us. It does not care if we live or die. It does not care if we are Democrat or Republic. The only thing the earth knows is that you are a part of it, and to it you will return, period. All your clamoring, all your posturing, all your pedantic rantings are superfluous, useless, and utterly no good when they drop you in the dirt box. Once that realization is made, there is an enormous freedom to realize that everything that you do, you are doing here and now for the people that are here and now, and for the people that are coming, for as long as we can. Because you can't do anything about the past, right? Europe is the way it is due to our past. America is the way it is due to our past. Moving forward, if we are to get along as a species on this planet, we need to get it together. Again, the planet doesn't care. This is up to us. The planet is going to keep spinning on. The earth will, or the sun will continue to burn up its hydrogen, becoming helium, becoming carbon. And once it starts becoming iron, it's all over for this neighborhood. You can scream and yell and point fingers all you want, but when that sun goes nova, none of your votes, none of your yelling, none of your name calling, none of your rock throwing, none of your warmongering is going to make any lick of difference. Believe it? Now, thankfully, or not, the sun's fuel supply is quite abundant right now. So we have a few months. Okay, a few billion years, like 4. But the sun, just like every creature on this planet, has a life cycle. It was born, it is living, it will die. And when it dies, it will take this entire solar system with it, because without a sun, you don't really have a solar system, you have a planetary system orbiting a dead star. So this entire experiment of biology on this little rock in this obscure corner of the universe is all us. There is no coming to save us. There is nowhere to go, right? The only place that we can live, breathe, eat, drink, sleep is right here on this rock. Yeah, we can leave for a few minutes onto a spaceship that's not very far from Mother Earth. And we can only do it 2, 3, 5 at a time, maybe. Nope. Everything on this earth is ours and ours alone. It's our responsibility. And everything that we do on this earth pales in comparison to the legacy that we'll be leaving behind. Just as the events that are unfolding over the last 2-3 weeks are going to define our civilization for generations to come. And that's not a good reflection. Now, turning back to all the fun stuff that we get to do here at the Big Talker Network, that includes working with amazing people like Andrew Donaldson, the managing editor of ordinary-times.com, with his plethora, cornucopia of material content, adulted, if you will, curated in a way that's more of a conversation than a proclamation or pontification. Most everybody else wants to say their opinion is right. Of course, I'm the only one who is right. Oh, wait. That's the same game, isn't it? Everybody played that game. Why not? But in Andrew's case, he's actually finding the people that are involved. For example, we're not yelling about he, I should say, is not yelling about the Ohio elections. He's actually talking to people who were there, sitting there in the room going, oh my God, I don't believe I am sitting in this surreal experience. And then they can communicate back to our friend Andrew as to what was going on, what was involved, and what they, read the room. We weren't there. What was the room like? Hey, they got a few applause when they did this. And there were a couple of people that just weren't paying attention. All kinds of things, right? So, Heard Tell at 6 o'clock, premiering on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and here on the Big Talker Network with a replay at 3 in the afternoon daily. The culmination, or the, concatenation of all of the interviews throughout the week will be played in a show called Twice on Sunday, that airs twice on Sunday. Once the premiere on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and the Big Talker Network at 8 in the morning, with a replay on the Big Talker Network at 2 in the afternoon. And just a reminder, if you go to the website or to your Google Play or App Store and look for the Big Talker app, you can take the Big Talker Network content with you anywhere. And for you super savvy folk, you can Bluetooth connect your automobile's entertainment system with your smartphone. And then, presto changeo, just like magic, you're rolling down the road listening to radio, talk radio from the Big Talker right here. That's a pretty happening thing. You can also program your, what do they call them, home digital assistants? I don't know what you kids come up with these silly names, right? And you can say, hey, Alexa, Big Talker. And boom, Heard Tell will be in your ear holes before you know it. And you'll have a better understanding of what's going on in the world, because we get past all the memes and yelling and name calling and, as Andrew puts it, the caterwauling. We also have Yael Osowski's Consumer Choice Radio premiering on Saturday mornings. He and David LeClement in Canada, Yael being at large in Europe, have lots of conversations about everything consumer related, from crypto coin and currencies of all flavors and colors and shapes and sizes, even if they have a hole in the middle of the coin, whatever, to actual safety purchases, reports, that sort of thing. So, you definitely want to follow that show. Paul Vallone doing Guns, Politics, and Freedom. I believe that also premieres 1 o'clock on the Saturday afternoon here on the Big Talker Network. More of our schedule is available at bigtalker.live, I can tell you that. Tonight at 8 p.m., following When Radio Was, which is a fun program running 7 o'clock Monday through Monday, every day of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all the way to Sunday. So you can catch your daily episodes, whether they're running the Green Lantern or Superman, I'm not sure what, or Johnny Danger, I'm not sure which one they're on right now. I'm going to have to catch up with that later. But tonight, coming at you from Waterline Brewery, is The Voice and the Pen. This is a personal plug because it's a personal pet project of mine, working with Emily Burdett and C.B. Johnson. And it's basically a songwriters guild, if you will, for lack of a better term. And this evening, we will have performances in the round at the Waterline Brewery stage, and we will be streaming it live on YouTube. Look for the Voice in the Pen YouTube channel. It'll also be carried from 8 to 10. The show starts at 7, right? So music is at the club from 7 to 10. However, I don't want to interrupt When Radio Was. So When Radio Was will run at 7. Then 8 o'clock, we will join the performance already in progress. And we will carry that performance until 10 o'clock and then resume regular radio programming. So therefore, we will be simulcasting the live performance at the Waterlines Voice and Pen Songwriters in the Round performance this evening on the Big Talker Network, while also streaming on YouTube. And single-handedly, I will be doing that while also multi-track recording and live sound for the room. It's fun. It keeps me off the streets, which is why I have a pretty clean police record. And just for fun, I have to make this pivot. See, if you learn how to do something and you get curious and you have something to do that'll keep you off the streets at night. Ow, that was my coffee. You don't end up like our friend Randy William Hill. You mind if I chat to you about Randy William Hill? This is awesome. Leland man accused. Stop it. I don't know why this website is so horrible, people. Leland man accused of, okay, stop it, stealing BEMC bucket truck. Good Lord. Jeff, you and I need to talk about this website, man. We're going to sit down with a cup of coffee, and I'm going to rip you a new one for this. All right, Brunswick County, North Carolina, coming from WWAY. Nobody wants to put their name on it. Certainly not with that face in the mugshot. It's not your typical motor theft. Again, ladies and gentlemen, please learn something to keep you off the streets at night so you don't become Randy William Hill. Okay. A Leland man, obviously without any, this is my own personal interpretation. This man must not have any marketable skill or any job function, any purpose whatsoever in current society. A Leland man, this guy, a Leland man is accused of stealing a bucket truck belonging to Brunswick Electric Membership Corporation. The truck was parked at a home on Green Hill Road. Deputies with the Brunswick County Sheriff's Office arrested Randy William Hill, 39, and charged him with larceny of a motor vehicle, possessing a stolen motor vehicle, fleeing, eluding arrest with motor vehicle, driving while license revoked, not impaired, possessing of Schedule 6 something CS, controlled substance, and reckless driving, wanton disregard. He was also served with outstanding charges of selling cocaine, possession with intent to distribute cocaine, and possession of drug paraphernalia. He was booked into the Brunswick Detention Facility under a $200,000 bond. And I'm going to bet this was, he knew this. He's like, man, I don't have a job. I don't have a way to eat. It looks like he hasn't had a shower in a month. Probably living in a 2-story cardboard box. And he's like, hey, I know how to get 3 hots in a cot. But they didn't put me in long enough for cocaine possession and distribution. So, hey, why don't I steal a truck? They'll definitely throw me in jail for that. And I get to eat. And I don't have to work or do anything. It's like its own welfare state. So there you go, buddy. Randy William Hill of Leland, joyriding in a bucket truck because he has no other skill whatsoever. Now, I have to admit that what I'm doing with the Voice in the Pen is not a big money maker. I mean, they cover my gas. That's about it. Everything else is because I am trying to prove to the universe or myself or whoever, I don't know who's paying attention, that while it is I am getting up there in age and no longer capable of throwing around big, heavy speaker boxes, I can certainly still participate in making live events way more interesting and interactive and available to people who are not necessarily here in the southeastern North Carolina area but would enjoy the performances, etc., from people in our region. Therefore, The Voice in the Pen, I think, is a great way to highlight the capabilities of this production company that I'm kind of building. And you get to enjoy live original music performed in an intimate setting where we've turned part of the Waterline Brewery into a listening room. It's a lot of fun. And that'll be this evening on Big Talker Network at 8 o'clock this evening as an experiment. It'll be right after the When Radio Was, so you should start your evening after dinner right there on When Radio Was at 7 o'clock and just hang out until at least 10 for Voice in the Pen. I'm not sure what starts at 10. 11 o'clock is the replay in case you missed When Radio Was at 7. We replay it at 11. So you sleep well at night knowing you have good content, information, and entertainment in your ear holes from your friends here at Big Talker Network. Now, it is the bottom of the hour. We're going to take a bit of a break right here on the Big Talker Network. Here at the Asylum. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Jeff Rivenbark with WWAY News. Ukraine's president is preparing to make a direct appeal for more help in a rare speech by foreign leader to Congress today, even as Russia continues its bombardment of the Ukrainian capital. President Vladimir Zelensky suggested there is reason to be optimistic negotiations with the Russian government might yield an agreement. Zelensky says he thanks President Joe Biden and all the friends of Ukraine for $13.6 billion in new support. Meanwhile, in Brunswick County, what started as a small collection for Ukraine has ballooned into a major operation in Oak Island. Volunteers at Ocean View United Methodist Church have been collecting medical supplies, clothes, and baby products to send to refugees in Poland and Ukraine. They'll continue taking donations until noon today and then send everything to Wilmington, where the items will be loaded into cargo containers and shipped. Some Wilmington City leaders are working to get more federal support to help with an ongoing mold problem impacting subsidized housing units. Wilmington Mayor Bill Saffo and Councilman Clifford Barnett and Luke Waddell traveled to Washington, D.C. to meet with members of Congress and other federal officials. During the trip, they spoke with the Department of Housing and Urban Development about ongoing issues the Wilmington Housing Authority is facing, specifically with mold. And Governor Roy Cooper says North Carolina's economy has fully returned to the employment level it enjoyed before the pandemic. The state's economy recovered to pre-pandemic employment levels last July, with the GDP level recovering even earlier. The state's economy is expanding, with job growth being high relative to other states. However, with inflation and high gas prices affecting the whole country, Cooper says the state's government needs to find ways to make these costs more affordable while continuing to bring good-paying jobs to the state. For more on these stories, head over to WWAYTV3.com. I'm Jeff Rivenbark. Have a great day.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your Storm Track 3 forecast. Cloudy skies and mild temperatures are in store for us today. If you're away from the coast, we should get into the low 70s later this evening, but an area of low pressure will bring in some moisture to the Cape Fear region. Some heavier downpours looking likely later this evening. Even a low-end risk for a few strong to severe thunderstorms. Main concern will be gusty winds, but as we head into the overnight hours, showers should come to an end by Thursday morning as our temperatures remain mild, dropping down into the upper 50s and the lower 60s. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by 2 Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to 2menandatruck.com. 2menandatruck.com.
We need judges who serve we the people, not self-interested career politicians. This is Jenny Statting, wife of Judge Michael Statting, your conservative candidate for North Carolina Court of Appeals. Michael is a former prosecutor, sitting Republican judge, and a reservist in the United States Air Force. Michael is a lifelong public servant. That is why I'm asking you to remember to vote for Judge Michael Stadding, your conservative candidate for North Carolina Court of Appeals. Paid for by the committee to elect Michael Stadding. Michael Stadding is a reservist for the United States Air Force. Use of job title does not imply endorsement by the Department of Air Force or the Department of Defense.
Listen to Tom Goolsby on The Chad Adams Show.
People with common sense know that the entire theory of socialism is one big lie.
The Big Talker 106.7 FM.
Hi, this is Justin Humphreys from the Humphreys Law Firm on Eastwood Road. The Humphreys Law Firm is located in Lumina Station, Wilmington, North Carolina, practices civil litigation, intellectual property, commercial, and residential real estate. Please give us a call at 910-332-0721 or visit us on our website, which is www.humphreysfirm.law. You can also listen to me every Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. on the Big Talker 106.7 FM.
Hey, welcome back to the Big Talker Network here at the Asylum. Your refuge in a world gone mad. Nobody even recognizes that. That's why I play it. Only to keep y'all on your toes. Maybe somebody does. I don't know. I dare you. Type it in the chat. I dare you. Welcome back to the Big Talker Network, bigtalker.live. There's an email there. Please click it and send us a note letting us, comments, questions, concerns, critiques, or compliments. We accept them all. We can't improve without your help, and it lets us know you care. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, please click on whatever button makes it look like you like us. I think that's the share, the like, thumbs up, or whatever. Maybe a retweet. And certainly for our other programs, such as Heard Tell, heard 6 o'clock in the morning. Replay at 3 in the afternoon. The premiere at 6 in the morning on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter can also be shared, liked, subscribed. Let the world know that there is a way to have conversations without name-calling, rock-throwing, caterwauling, and extraneous noise that makes it difficult to get anything done. Lots of other great programs. This was a fun little romp. Again, closing out the last segment, talking about, at least having a hobby. And if your hobby is selling cocaine, then probably shouldn't be, stealing bucket trucks. Unless, of course, you have no marketable skill and need to find some way to get 3 hots in a cot without having to work for it or whatever. I think that's what his game is. It must be. Because he's out on bond for outstanding charges of selling cocaine, possession with intent to distribute cocaine, and possession drug paraphernalia. And the litany of charges for this event include larceny of a motor vehicle, possession of a motor vehicle, stolen motor vehicle, fleeing, eluding arrest with a motor vehicle, driving while license revoked, not impaired. So that's the most surprising charge, not impaired. He did this sober, apparently. Possession of Schedule 6 controlled substance and reckless driving wanton disregard. Now, it may be not impaired is only for alcohol, but they didn't bother to test him for cocaine and God knows what else. Because this walking chemical experiment was certainly not the best person for that evening. Stop it. All right. There's some good news, and it follows in my heart, coming from WAY. County trash pickup program a success once again. The sheriff's office utilizes 4 to 5 misdemeanor confinement inmates to pick up trash along Bladen County highways, which can help them earn days off their sentence. Keeping Bladen beautiful is just one of the many things Bladen County Sheriff's Office has been working on the past couple of months. The Sheriff's Office utilizes 4 to 5 misdemeanor confinement inmates to pick up trash along Bladen County highways. Each inmate volunteers for the program and can earn days off their sentence for participating in the program. A jail van was converted to accommodate the inmates and the program. The van carries water for the inmates to clean their hands and drink, as well as a porta potty for bathroom facilities. The program began in 2017 but was suspended in 2020 due to the pandemic. It started back up in January of this year. The state still maintains the main highways, and this program is used to clean the secondary roads. Deputies notify the Office of Roads where excessive amounts of litter are noticed. Citizens are also encouraged to report secondary roads that need cleaning. Since January of this year, over 1,200 large bags of trash have been collected by the Sheriff's Office. I have been very pleased with our inmate trash program, said Sheriff McVicker. It gives the inmates something to do for the community while earning time off their sentence for the work, and it keeps our Bladen County highways looking clean and beautiful. Now, this next to the last paragraph / sentence, citizens are also encouraged to report secondary roads that need cleaning. No. Citizens are encouraged to not litter. Citizens are encouraged to pick up trash wherever they see it, whether it's theirs or not. Deal with it. That's the way it works, ladies and gentlemen. And if you have a pickup truck, the bed is not a trash can. Simple as that. So in the interest of being a good citizen, being a good steward, being not a jerk, being an actual American that's actually concerned, not just waving flags or sticking them on your truck, but actually giving a damn, is somewhere in your DNA, right? I think everybody should participate in the one bag challenge. In fact, now that the weather's getting better, I see I'm tempted. See if I can't get some sponsorship for, a bag a week challenge. Not just one bag, but take an hour, one day a week. Go with your friends, go with your family, take a vape pen with you or a 6-pack of Mountain Dew or something. Maybe play some loud music banging off the stereo off the car. And, it took me 12 minutes to fill up one big bag on 421 at I-140. It does not take much. It does not take long. So, I highly recommend everybody get out into this beautiful weather coming our way. We're almost into the spring proper. We certainly are in Carolina Beach. They jacked them prices up. 12 hours a day of parking at full rate, baby. You want to enjoy the beach, you best bring your wallet. Pack that puppy up. Don't forget, we got ATMs that charge 10% in case you're running low on cash. And we do license plate recognition, which, someday Skynet's going to tie it all together and your license plate will be tied to your criminal defense history. So they can find you anywhere you're going. But that's not yet. That's just meant to scare you. But you do have to be careful where you park in Carolina Beach. Because while it is you think you may have parked, or you may have thought you paid for parking, but you paid the wrong company. So your car is booted or towed even though you have paid money, and there is no way to clear it up because those two companies do not care about each other one damn bit. And then you're going to have to pay to get your car back just because it's not very clear who owns which lot and who's paying how much to park where. It's ridiculous. But that's the way it goes sometimes. So, I think it's a great idea that we're putting some community involvement into the lower level offenders of the inmate program. Certainly misdemeanors. I don't want murderers out there. That would just be a bad idea. We've seen that movie. Now, we're going to shift from the people in the orange jumpsuit to the people in the orange jumpsuit before they're in the orange jumpsuit. How's that? Bladen County Sheriff issues appeal to citizens in fight against crime. The honorary membership program was created to provide citizens with an opportunity to lend their support to more effective law enforcement and to better help local sheriffs protect the lives and property of citizens. Responding to the increasing number of people wanting to assist law enforcement officials and build a stronger partnership in the fight against crime, Bladen County citizens are being invited to become honorary members of the North Carolina Sheriff's Association. Membership applications go out in the mail this month. Individuals choosing to join the voluntary program can do so for $25, while businesses can show their support with a $50 contribution. Contributions are tax deductible as allowed by law, since the association is a 501c3 not-for-profit tax-exempt organization. With funding becoming increasingly important to secure, the North Carolina Sheriff's Association's honorary membership program has taken on greater importance than ever before, said Sheriff McVicker. The funding is vital in helping us carry out our mission of making our county a safer place to live, work, and play. Individuals not receiving a membership application or desiring more information may go to the North Carolina Sheriff's Association website at ncsheriffs.org or contact the North Carolina Sheriff's Association at 919-SHERIFF. Or for those who are difficulty in the mnemonics there, it'll be 919-743-7433. 919-743-7433. The honorary membership program was created to provide citizens with an opportunity to lend their support to more effective law enforcement and to better help local sheriffs protect the lives and property of citizens. As the need for building stronger public-private law enforcement partnerships in this county continue to escalate, programs such as this continue to grow in importance. So there's a little bit of fundraising involved here. And what's interesting is it's not necessarily what I thought it was from the headline. I thought they were opening up like, hey, we have tripled the number of 911 calls we can receive. So if you see anything suspicious at all, give us a call. That's not the case. Basically, get involved, help the sheriffs. And when doing so, here's a story that kind of relates to our former Spivey story. At least it's the same neighborhood. Tips lead to Columbus County gun and narcotic bust. Sheriff Green would like to thank the public and all the assisting agencies for their assistance in this case. On Monday, the Columbus County Sheriff's Office Special Operations Division, Patrol Division, and Civil Division received tips of narcotic sales and distribution on Twin Pine Roads in the town of Brunswick. Sheriff's Office deputies, along with North Carolina Probation and Parole, Whiteville Police Department, and North Carolina ALE, found a substantial amount of narcotics and a number of guns present. A search warrant was executed at the premises where the following items were seized. Hope you're sitting down, folks. 42.7 grams of cocaine, 898 grams of marijuana, 2 handguns, and nearly $5,000 in U.S. dollars. Sheriff Green would like to thank the public and all the assistant agencies for their assistance in this case. We repeatedly get asked to go after the bigger fish, and our answer is we are after all the fish as overdoses are occurring, a needle, a pill, or a drug deal at a time. The bigger fish do not all live in our county, so we have teamed with our in-house federal task force officers to further these investigations across all jurisdictions. We are dedicated to bringing all dealers before a judge or jury and allowing them to answer for their narcotics dealings that are killing your family and friends. Please continue submitting tips, and we thank you for your support. You can download or... That was weird. A little spell check here. You can download the Columbus County Sheriff's app on your mobile device to receive up-to-date information and submission of tips. The following individuals were arrested at the location and transported to the Columbus County Jail, where they were served with warrants and given the following bond conditions. Marquez Cherry, possession of firearm, trafficking. I mean, there's, oh my God, a little over $500,000. I'm not going to try and pronounce that. $75,000, $76,000, $1,000. Brittany, born in 85, 2 years after I graduated high school, for Christ's sake. 25,000, 50,000, 25. Man, that's a lot of people. Holy mackerel. But what's interesting is there's only 2 guns, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people involved in the arrest. So, I mean, snitches get stitches, but there are times it's like, man, get this off the streets. It's killing us. How about we turn to a more positive story? This one's coming from Peyton Furtado. Make us feel better. Students learn real-world skills while feeding the homeless. In their class project venture, the middle school students learned from real-world experience getting out in nature and volunteering. Tuesday, the class learned how to cook some staples like chili, cornbread, and brownies for a good cause. Man, that sounds like a dinner. Chili and cornbread and then brownies for dessert? Oh, come on. According to 6th grader India Williams, they'll go downtown and share the food with Wilmington's homeless community Tuesday afternoon. Please don't do it in the non-biodegradable styrofoam containers that they don't care about and will let blow around all over the town. I see people every day on the street, and it makes me feel bad, Williams said, because it's hard for them to get a job and to see their family members and to sleep somewhere good. So I like this because it helps me remember to always help people and to be nice. That feeding will happen again Tuesday at the Anchor Church. And it is good to know, I mean, there is some home ec being taught before high school, so the heart's in the right place, the intention's in the right place. Everything about this feels good until the homeless folk who have no accountability whatsoever decide to throw their trash all over the streets. So the next thing would be to follow that up with the inmates from the misdemeanor program in our New Hanover County Jail and have them come and pick up the streets after the homeless folk. But then maybe the two of them can kind of get together and realize that they can avoid all of this ahead of time by learning a skill and getting a hobby so you're not stealing a bucket truck and joyriding around so you can get a free meal and a free place to sleep. Anyway, another feel-good story by Ms. Furtado. Oak Island Church gathers countless supplies for Ukrainian refugees. We already had a container truck leave last Friday, I believe it was, packed to the gills. What started as a small collection for Ukraine has ballooned into a major operation in Oak Island. Church volunteers by the dozen are doing what they can to help Ukraine. As donations rolled into the Ocean View United Methodist in Oak Island Tuesday, volunteers packed, stacked, and stored medical supplies, clothing, and baby products away for Ukrainian refugees. Word has gotten out. People have spread the word from church to church, community to community, said organizer Cheryl Fulton. And everybody has just realized they can't do nothing. You know, we're all hurting and we're all horrified by what we're seeing, and we just feel like we have to do whatever we can to help. The church announced Sunday they'd be collecting donations, working together to bus boxes to CIL Capital and Moto Leader, 2 Wilmington companies shipping supplies to Poland and Ukraine. Pastor Gleaves explains, it gives life to the people who give. We're blessed by being a blessing to others. Praying over their donations, crafters crocheted blankets for women and children after a hospital shelling killed a pregnant woman and her child. Soon after, volunteers and donations picked up. So many people mentioned the bombing of the maternity hospital and spoke to that as a major motivator for them. Just after noon Wednesday, the church will load up the supplies and drive them to one of several locations in Wilmington shipping donations overseas. With volunteers working around the clock until then, Fulton says they may never meet the people who get these supplies. She's grateful they can do something to help. I get very emotional about it, she said, and I'm just trying really hard not to let that happen because we've got things to do. If you're interested in helping, the Ocean View United Methodist Church is accepting donations until noon today and could still use some extra boxes and helping hands. That's cool. I guess they had to either hold on to the container or they sent one out and they're loading up another one. And that's just from our little community. So when we decide to get together, we can get together and move mountains. But why does it take such an extreme catalyst to do that? I mean, do we have to be on the brink of World War III for our humanity to express itself? Is that the problem? If that's true, we are in a bad way as a society, as a species. And the thing is, this is like the 4th, 5th, or 6th time that we've seen this type of inhumanity being expressed, and only now we're upset. I mean, do we support independence or do we not support independence, or do we only support the independence of the people that are important to us because it'll never matter to us if it isn't, it'll never be important to us if it doesn't matter to us. And that needs to get turned around. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. We are approaching the top of the hour. But I think I have time for one more distraction. The American Cancer Society honors Novant Health NHRMC with National Award. NHRMC would be the New Hanover Regional Medical Center. New Hanover Regional Medical Center, one of 2 healthcare systems nationally to win inaugural Health System Patient Support Team of the Year award. The American Cancer Society has awarded Novant Health New Hanover Regional Medical Center the inaugural Health System Patient Support Team of the Year award for 2021, a national honor presented in recognition of an incredible partnership and astounding achievements in improving the lives of cancer patients and their families. It's an honor to get to work with the New Hanover Regional Medical Center. Their staff have truly integrated the American Cancer Society's mission into their work in providing care for cancer patients. This is coming from Tiffany Fountain, Cancer Control Strategic Partnerships Manager for the American Cancer Society. Their partnership has allowed us to have tremendous impact on cancer screening and prevention, quality of life, and health equity for all people of southeastern North Carolina. The Health System Patient Support Team of the Year award recognizes a health system partner that provides exemplary health care to their patients in alignment with the American Cancer Society's mission. New Hanover Regional Medical Center has demonstrated innovative, there's 3 ways to say that one, collaborative approaches to enhancing prevention, early detection, medical care, and quality of life for cancer patients and their families while committing to advancing health equity. The Novant Health Zimmer Cancer Institute, located on the main New Hanover Regional Medical Center campus, is the only comprehensive cancer center dedicated to the diagnosis, treatment, and support of cancer patients in southeastern North Carolina. The center also houses the hospital's cancer clinical trials program, giving local residents an opportunity to participate in national treatment studies close to home. That's pretty happening. We're being recognized right here in the port city, right off 17th Street. That's a good feeling. We're doing good. We're trying to. We hope this makes a difference, at least having some recognition for working in the oncology area. I mean, it's positive and sad at the same time, kind of like the way life works. You know what I mean? Let's reflect on that while the news spins through. Some words and ads from our sponsors. Call them what they are. And we'll be right back after all this. Please don't go nowhere. We'll be back at the Asylum right here on the Big Talker Network. Yes, sir. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
Keeping Bald Head Island informed. The Big Talker 106.7 FM WFBT, Carolina Beach.
If you want to talk about culture and politics without all the caterwauling, then you'll love Hertel Radio with me, your host, Andrew Donaldson, every weekday morning, 6 a.m. with a replay at 3 p.m. right here on the Big Talker. Catch it on the Listen Live tab on the app or watch on the Facebook page.
When I tell people I'm a collision repair technician, they usually say, "Can I get your number?" Sooner or later, they're going to need me. I'm the guy who you call when you had a fender bender, who takes your mangled car and brings it back to its former glory. I absolutely love what I do. I trained at CFCC and had job offers waiting on me when I finished. I make great money and can work anywhere. People rely on me. That's a good feeling. I got my start at CFCC, and you can too. Visit cfcc.edu/trades and get started today.
If you want to talk about culture and politics without all the caterwauling, then you'll love Hertel Radio with me, your host, Andrew Donaldson, every weekday morning, 6 a.m. with a replay at 3 p.m. right here on the Big Talker. Catch it on the Listen Live tab on the app or watch on the Facebook page.
Hello, I'm Jeff Rivenbark with WWAY News. Ukraine's president is preparing to make a direct appeal for more help in a rare speech by foreign leader to Congress today, even as Russia continues its bombardment of the Ukrainian capital. President Vladimir Zelensky suggested there is reason to be optimistic negotiations with the Russian government might yield an agreement. Zelensky says he thanks President Joe Biden and all the friends of Ukraine for $13.6 billion in new support. Meanwhile, in Brunswick County, what started as a small collection for Ukraine has ballooned into a major operation in Oak Island. Volunteers at Ocean View United Methodist Church have been collecting medical supplies, clothes, and baby products to send to refugees in Poland and Ukraine. They'll continue taking donations until noon today and then send everything to Wilmington, where the items will be loaded into cargo containers and shipped. Some Wilmington City leaders are working to get more federal support to help with an ongoing mold problem impacting subsidized housing units. Wilmington Mayor Bill Saffo and Councilman Clifford Barnett and Luke Waddell traveled to Washington, D.C. to meet with members of Congress and other federal officials. During the trip, they spoke with the Department of Housing and Urban Development about ongoing issues the Wilmington Housing Authority is facing, specifically with mold. And Governor Roy Cooper says North Carolina's economy has fully returned to the employment level it enjoyed before the pandemic. The state's economy recovered to pre-pandemic employment levels last July, with the GDP level recovering even earlier. The state's economy is expanding, with job growth being high relative to other states. However, with inflation and high gas prices affecting the whole country, Cooper says the state's government needs to find ways to make these costs more affordable while continuing to bring good-paying jobs to the state. For more on these stories, head over to WWAYTV3.com. I'm Jeff Rivenbark. Have a great day.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your Storm Track 3 forecast. Cloudy skies and mild temperatures are in store for us today. If you're away from the coast, we should get into the low 70s later this evening, but an area of low pressure will bring in some moisture to the Cape Fear region. Some heavier downpours looking likely later this evening. Even a low-end risk for a few strong to severe thunderstorms. Main concern will be gusty winds. But as we head into the overnight hours, showers should come to an end by Thursday morning as our temperatures remain mild, dropping down into the upper 50s and the lower 60s. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by Two Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to twomenandatruck.com. twomenandatruck.com.
The Wilmington Cape Fear Home Builders Association serves as the advocate for the building industry, advancing professionalism and promoting community involvement. We are a positive force for responsible growth while protecting property rights and the privilege of home ownership. 3 out of every 5 jobs is touched in some manner by construction in our region. Growth generates jobs, maintains our property values, and builds and updates our infrastructure. Join us Friday mornings for the Construction Connection with the Wilmington Cape Fear Home Builders Association and the Big Talker FM.
Hi, this is Justin Humphreys from the Humphreys Law Firm on Eastwood Road. Tune in Thursdays from 6 to 7 p.m. for Objection to the Form, covering civil litigation, real estate issues, and intellectual property. That's Objection to the Form, Thursdays 6 to 7 p.m. right here on the Big Talker 106.7 FM.
Folks, we all know ongoing road construction and traffic can weigh heavy on your vehicle. Since 2006, O'Leary's Automotive Repair has provided comprehensive repair services at affordable prices to get you back on the road in no time. Their ASE certified technicians will help you find a cost-effective repair and maintenance alternatives. O'Leary's has multiple locations in the area in Hampstead, Leland, the Myrtle Grove area, Ogden, and Wrightsboro. O'Leary's Automotive Repair, a trusted, locally owned business since 2006.
Ha. 8 o'clock, ladies and gentlemen. Get rolling. Come on. Get up. If I can do it, you can do it. Come on now. Just get going. Grab the bus. Have your little Eggo pop-up waffle. Or maybe your untoasted pastry. Get going. Kick it. Right there. Right in the head. Bang your head. Mental health right here on the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad. Proudly supported by the Big Talker Network. We never shut up. For more information on that, on us, and on all the other programming available, please visit bigtalker.live. Send us an email with your questions, comments, concerns, critiques, and compliments. We can't improve without your feedback. And tune into the mini programs we have. And if you want to take the Big Talker with you, not only can you get to our website and listen live tab there, you can use the iOS and Android device app on your smart device, which, for you really super savvy folk keeping up with the Joneses, can Bluetooth your smart device with your automobile's entertainment system to take the Big Talker's content with you anywhere and everywhere you like to be. How's that? Now, okay, enough of that one. I love covering some of the local stories. With seniors getting involved, Matthew Huddleston has a story for us. New Hanover County seniors hold roundtable with board members to discuss issues. New Hanover County students made their voices heard Tuesday morning by holding a roundtable with members of the county school board. The discussion was organized to allow students the opportunity to let board members know what they feel is working and what needs to be adjusted. Students from every high school in the county were present. The seniors say they are hopeful their ideas will make a difference in the generations that follow. Our job is to tell them, hey, this is working or this isn't working, Ashley High School senior Isaiah Singleton said. We're here to help them make those decisions and make those changes accordingly so we can benefit the entirety of the district. Singleton says he never expected to see so many students turn out, but is happy to know their opinions will make a difference. And again, conversation. And they should clarify what they mean by seniors. Anyway, it's good to have these conversations because you can't improve without them. Trickery. So, moving forward, at least the school board is listening to somebody. Even if it's not you. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I have a bunch of stories. Here's one that's fun. If anybody's been to Wrightsville Beach before, water cost 500% more than it does today. Jimmy's at Wrightsville Beach is up for best bar in the nation. I've run sound here. I've never performed here. I think a number of my friends have. It is bracket season, and there is another national title up for grabs besides the NCAA tournament, the championship. Barstool Sports is looking for the best bar in the nation, and Jimmy's at Wrightsville Beach has made it to round 2. Last year, Jimmy's made it to the Sweet 16s. To support the Wrightsville Beach watering hole, tweet out Best Bar Jimmy's, hashtag Best Bar Jimmy's. Voting for the second round ends today at 3 p.m. Jimmy's will also get 5 extra votes for every Barstool Best Bar t-shirt sold. Let me read that again because it's not a comfortable sentence. Jimmy's will also get 5 extra votes for every Barstool Best Bar t-shirt sold. All proceeds the bar receives go toward Jimmy's Bike Drive, which is a really cool program. I believe it's at Christmas when they give away, present a bunch of bikes as Christmas presents. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, best bar in the nation. That's pretty happening. If that place ever goes up in flames, they will lose a fortune just on the ceiling. Let me see if I can find that story I missed. I think this is it. I don't know about you folks. I'm not a fish guy. I come from a desert. This is coming from Juliana Lane. Go fish. Eating safer from the Cape Fear River event, a community event to promote eating safer fish from the Cape Fear River. On March 27th, a little over a week from now, from 1 to 4, the New Hanover County Arboretum will host Go Fish, Eating Safer from the Cape Fear River, a community event open to the public organized by Cape Fear Riverwatch, the Duke University Superfund Research Center, North Carolina State Cooperative Extension, and the North Carolina Coastal Federation, as well as other community partners. The Go Fish event is part of Cape Fear River Fish Consumption Month. This event will be hosted by DJ Sammy Figs and will include community speakers and outreach activities, lawn games, children's activities, local food trucks, Poor Piggy's Barbecue and To-Go Boys, and no-cost COVID-19 vaccines. The Cape Fear River is listed as an impaired waterway by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, and fish from the river may contain chemical contaminants that can harm the health of people who eat them, particularly children. However, fishing from the river is culturally important to many and provides a low-cost source of protein. The purpose of the event and the month as a whole is to educate the public about ways to reduce health risks from eating fish from the Cape Fear River by choosing safer fish species and the preparation methods that reduce the amount of contaminants. These events are part of the Stop, Check, Enjoy outreach campaign. Simultaneous transition will be provided for Spanish speakers. Parking is on the site but limited, so please consider carpooling or using public transportation. And this is part of the conversation. This is in parallel with the conversations we've been having with Dr. Cahoon of the Cape Fear Riverwatch organization itself. And they are one of the members, one of like 5 people. 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4 or 5. Four majors and some minors. Like within the community itself, not at the North Carolina level. But anyway, that's a good event starting on the 27th of March at 1 p.m. North Carolina Arboretum. So you definitely want to be a part of this. Poor Piggy's, by the way, has some sick food, man. Awesome stuff. I haven't had To-Go Boys. They have a menu that I don't or haven't done, so I'm not as familiar with it. But other ones, yeah. The other guys, I like that. Yeah, I may have already covered that one. Sorry. So, I'm still laughing at this guy who stole a bucket truck. And they say he wasn't impaired. I don't know what test you were using, but I think you were testing the wrong thing. That's all there is to that. And that's also the importance of having a hobby. Right, collecting stamps or coins, the numismatists we had on a week or so ago for the Lower Cape Fear Coin Club. Because if you were collecting and enjoying the artistry of the currency in your possession, you would have been far less likely of stealing a bucket truck out of somebody's yard. I mean, just, dude, really? These are the people that need to be processed in a different manner. And rehabilitation needs to be, I don't know, the bar of rehabilitation needs to be reassessed and maybe set a little bit higher so that before this guy gets out on his last round of charges from cocaine and stupid, he wouldn't be out with nothing to do except, hey, I got nothing to do, and here's a bucket truck. I'm just going to steal this bucket truck for the hell of it because I think it's a great idea. The public education has done me well. On top of that, the employment in the drug industry, I mean, if you think about it, he is a pharmaceutical sales representative, which is a heralded position in most circles. But if you don't think cocaine is a pharmaceutical, you are kidding yourself. It was funded. It was developed as an alternative to Novocaine and other anesthetizing agents for local and regional surgeries and such on the human body. And the guy who made it apologized for it before he died. But it is a pharmaceutical. It is a drug. What's interesting is that the American society has fun with its words by assigning connotation through context onto words such as drugs and medicine. Not all medicines are good, not all drugs are bad. Not all drugs are good, not all medicines are bad, all right? And what you consider a medicine, what you consider a drug are all considered pharmaceuticals, whether it's aspirin or propofol, or oxycodone, or fentanyl. All of these drugs are pharmaceutical. The fact it got into the private sector at a recreational level is a completely different issue that needs to be addressed simply by saying, hey, why do people feel a need to jack their system up and escape from the reality that they're in? What about society is so god-awful dystopian that they just can't seem to deal? That they must dig for what demons are so overpowering that they feel this need? That's the question. Is it a societal pressure? Is it an internal shame? But the need that drives the number of Americans to do this, to escape from their reality, to become a different person, whether it's alcohol, drugs, sex, gambling, or whatever it is that gets them their escape, that's what needs to be addressed. That's the systemic solution to all of it. Because America would not have the drug problem it does if it didn't want the drugs. America consumes more drugs than the rest of the planet combined. I mean, let's get real. From Ritalin, right, to Zoloft and Xanax, to Cialis and Viagra. We advertise drugs on a daily basis on the TV, on the interwebs, on your Facebooks, on your cell phones. There are as many drugstores as there are Dollar Generals across the land. This is how we place our importance. This is where the finances, this is where the profits are. We are a capitalist society, and as a result, that which makes the most money is going to rise to prominence. Things like the NFL, things like Cialis, things like Ritalin, whatever instant microwave minute solution we can pop into our gullet and call it a day. And to add to the water issues being compounded, or I should say populated with pollutants from large chemical corporations, with the medicines that we are taking into our body by the tons over the last 40 years, increasingly so, year after year after year, all of that goes into the water table, and all of that goes through our water system and may not necessarily be filtered out, certainly if it's small enough and can't be recognized by the rest of the ecosystem to filter it out. So as a result, we have children drinking water that has the same Ritalin ADHD medicines, the same Cialis and Viagra medicines that your grandparents were taking, that their grandparents were taking, floating in the water. And the concentrations are only going to increase the more we dose America and not explain what's in these things so that we can extract them. That's the way we do it. So, sorry. That was frustrating. Another interesting story from Juliana Lane. The Historic Wilmington Foundation opens 2022 Preservation Awards nominations. The Historic Wilmington Foundation is seeking nominees for its annual Preservation Awards in May during National Preservation Month. The nonprofit will be paying tribute to the homeowners, businesses, and contractors working to preserve and protect our built history through restoration, rehabilitation, adaptive reuse, and more. Nominated properties must be more than 50 years old and projects must be completed from May 1st, 2021 to May 1st, 2022. The awards fall into 4 categories. Adaptive reuse. A building that is preserved through a new use that maximizes the retention of distinctive materials, features, spaces, and spatial relationships. The judging criteria are the National Park Service standards for preservation. Another category, rehabilitation, a building that is repaired and or altered while preserving those portions or features that convey its historical, cultural, or architectural values. Features may include, but are not limited to, porch columns, siding, balustrades, windows, and stairs. The judging criteria are the National Park Service standards for rehabilitation. Third category, restoration, a building that accurately reflects the form, features, and character of the building as it appeared at a particular period of time by replacing missing elements, removing later elements, and limiting modern upgrades required to make the property functional. The judging criteria are the National Park Service standards for restoration. The last category is appropriate new construction. New construction that maintains a visual distinction between old and new while maintaining a respect for the character, mass, and materials of the adjacent historical buildings. The judging criteria is the Wilmington Historic Districts and Landmarks Design Standard 4.2 for new residential construction or Standard 5.4 for new commercial construction. Historic Wilmington Foundation will honor award recipients at a ceremony on Thursday, May 19th from 6 to 7:30 in the City Council chambers at Thalian Hall, depending on where you're from. Completed applications must be received by tax day, April 15, 2022. For more information and to submit a nominee, please visit the website at wway.tv3.com. Only electronic applications are accepted. Wilmington old. And a lot of the buildings hold that information. Sorry, it's hard to multi-track when running a radio station by yourself, answering questions, trying to figure out where people are, what they're doing, what they're up to. And wanted to say next hour, 9 o'clock, we're going to have Dr. Cahoon joining us and some of the importance of water in the area. And, of course, covering some of the other topics that are coming at us. One of which is the Superfund partnership for the Eat Fresh. Oh, come on. Go Fish, sorry. The Go Fish event. I'm sure we'll cover some of that. And it'll be fun. Is anything else I can cover at the moment? I seem to have wrapped up a little bit early. I didn't mean to. I am almost out of coffee, so I guess I'll take a bit of a break here. Syndication quality radio, Anyway, that's right. We'll be right back after these messages. Here at the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad, right here on the Big Talker Network. We never shut up.
Hello, I'm Jeff Rivenbark with WWAY News. Ukraine's president is preparing to make a direct appeal for more help in a rare speech by foreign leader to Congress today, even as Russia continues its bombardment of the Ukrainian capital. President Vladimir Zelensky suggested there is reason to be optimistic negotiations with the Russian government might yield an agreement. Zelensky says he thanks President Joe Biden and all the friends of Ukraine for $13.6 billion in new support. Meanwhile, in Brunswick County, what started as a small collection for Ukraine has ballooned into a major operation in Oak Island. Volunteers at Ocean View United Methodist Church have been collecting medical supplies, clothes, and baby products to send to refugees in Poland and Ukraine. They'll continue taking donations until noon today and then send everything to Wilmington, where the items will be loaded into cargo containers and shipped. Some Wilmington city leaders are working to get more federal support to help with an ongoing mold problem impacting subsidized housing units. Wilmington Mayor Bill Saffo and Councilman Clifford Barnett and Luke Waddell traveled to Washington, D.C. to meet with members of Congress and other federal officials. During the trip, they spoke with the Department of Housing and Urban Development about ongoing issues the Wilmington Housing Authority is facing, specifically with mold. And Governor Roy Cooper says North Carolina's economy has fully returned to the employment level it enjoyed before the pandemic. The state's economy recovered to pre-pandemic employment levels last July, with the GDP level recovering even earlier. The state's economy is expanding, with job growth being high relative to other states. However, with inflation and high gas prices affecting the whole country, Cooper says the state's government needs to find ways to make these costs more affordable while continuing to bring good-paying jobs to the state. For more on these stories, head over to WWAY-TV3.com. I'm Jeff Rivenbark. Have a great day.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your Storm Track 3 forecast. Cloudy skies and mild temperatures are in store for us today. If you're away from the coast, we should get into the low 70s later this evening, but an area of low pressure will bring in some moisture to the Cape Fear region. Some heavier downpours looking likely later this evening. Even a low-end risk for a few strong to severe thunderstorms. Main concern will be gusty winds, but as we head into the overnight hours, showers should come to an end by Thursday morning as our temperatures remain mild, dropping down into the upper 50s and the lower 60s. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by Two Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to twomenandatruck.com. twomenandatruck.com.
Folks, you know you're all looking for that special gift. Lines are long, traffic is frustrating, supply chains in the news. Just take a deep breath. If you're anywhere near Oak Island, come by Seaside Jewelers, 8801 East Oak Island Drive. Avoid the traffic, the lines, the frustration, and get that extraordinary and special gift. From high-end diamond rings to Larimar, from necklaces to bracelets, watches, and unique jewelry. And you also get one-on-one service with their experienced staff. Great prices now, just in time for the holidays. Come by and check out Seaside Jewelers, 8801 East Oak Island Drive.
Hey everyone, Ben Hawkins here with Cross Country Mortgage. Rates are still at historic lows, and there has never been a better time to purchase your dream home or refinance your existing. With over 300 loan products including conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, renovation, and jumbo, we are certain we have the right loan product for you and your family. Call me today to be pre-qualified to make the offer on your next dream home. 910-352-3373 or visit my website at lendwithben.com.
If you want to talk about culture and politics without all the caterwauling, then you'll love Hertel Radio with me, your host, Andrew Donaldson, every weekday morning, 6 a.m. with a replay at 3 p.m. right here on the Big Talker. Catch it on the Listen Live tab on the app or watch on the Facebook page.
All right. Okay. Well, we're going to have to fix that. Welcome back to the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad. Right here on the Big Talker Network. Website is bigtalker.live. Please visit. Listen Live tab is there. Our schedule of amazing content is there, including Hertel and a bunch of others. Consumer Choice Radio, Guns, Politics, Freedom, When Radio Was, All Things Brunswick, and more coming your way, including the Chad Adams Show, which I hope to get developed here really, really shortly. At least that's the plan. Please, if you visit the website, drop us a line using the email link. Send us your comments, questions, concerns, critiques, and compliments, because we can't get better without your help. Earlier today, I find it interesting, and I'm kind of jealous. Our friend Mr. Donaldson, the managing editor of Ordinary-Times, has amazing contacts from people around the planet who can give us insights that we in our xenophobic, border-bound, land-lubbing area just can't seem to wrap our heads around. So we get a more realistic or a more, I don't know, exocentric view of how America stands and how because we look at the world stage through the American eyes, that we are the best. We have the best economy. We have the best freedoms. We have the best iPhones. We have the best whatever it is. And then when you look at it from the world stage, especially from Europeans, or, Britain being neighbor to all these European nations, and you look at the history and culture of these nations and what has happened while America stood by, waving flags and yelling stupid chants. That our entire political system had become basically a clown show. And we see people, this is interesting. Zelensky is showing the world what a true leader looks like, and we're embarrassed. We should be. But we're just going to let that ride, Or at least we shouldn't. We should be paying a little bit more attention to what these kids are saying. Again, it was young voices. 22-year-old, I believe, student in England was his guest this morning. And she was laying it out. She's a lot more, these kids are far more sophisticated than we give them credit for. That's for sure. And we do what we can with what we got, but we are not an isolated event on this planet. That's for sure. We are but one nation among many on this planet facing all of this together, and our response to it is not necessarily the best or the strongest. But then again, we don't have the same cultural memory that Europe does. Remember, Germany didn't march across America. America didn't get involved in World War II until Japan bombed Pearl Harbor. That brought us into the war. That's what did it for us. And then everything went sideways from there. Oh my God. Am I getting hacked again?
We now take you live to the Institute of Rational Thought for a special broadcast.
Oh, man.
Hard-hitting interviews and relevant information to make your day. It's Chad Adams.
Is it Chad Adams? Joining us here at the Big Talker Asylum.
So funny. I remember a comedian saying one of the great things about being a comedian is that people clap for you when you walk on stage. It's the biggest ego boost you can have. You've done absolutely nothing. You just walked on stage, and people clap for you. You can walk back off stage, and they can never take that away from you. Well, when you call in the TK show as a former talk show host on the Talker, and you get an intro like that, it's very flattering. I could hang up now, and it was just great. I had a great day, man. Thank you, folks, and I'm out. So that was very flattering. I appreciate it.
Sure. My pleasure. And that's why we're here. So I don't know if you're anywhere near Leland, but I wanted to let you know about a friend of ours who made the news this morning, or actually I think made the news yesterday. Our friend Randy William Hill. Have you heard about this guy yet?
No. Tell me, inform me. So you're on the radio.
This guy is fun. We're familiar with vehicle theft, yes?
Yes.
We're all familiar with having a car stolen. Maybe not our own, but we know it happens. Well, apparently, this Leland man was accused of stealing a bucket truck belonging to the Brunswick Electric Membership Corporation. The truck was parked at a home.
BEMC, yeah. What a great thing to steal, though,
Now, what's interesting is he was already out on outstanding charges out of jail on possession and selling cocaine and stuff. But the litany of charges includes larceny of a motor vehicle, possession of a stolen motor vehicle, fleeing, eluding arrest with a motor vehicle, driving with license revoked, not impaired, possession of Schedule 6 controlled substance, and reckless driving, wanton disregard. Interestingly, the most interesting charge, I think, is the not impaired aspect of the driving with license revoked. Because this guy had to be hammered or really hungry and without a job. And he's thinking, if I steal this bucket truck, I'm going to be fed by midnight.
We can pick apples high in the tree. I don't know. You have to wonder what kind of delusional thought crosses somebody's mind. There's a whole parking lot at, in any given shopping center. But they go, no, bucket truck. Yeah, that's what it's like stealing a tractor. It's just something you wouldn't think to do that has a top speed of, like 9 miles an hour in top gear. And, or a school bus, let me go steal a school bus. It's just this weird wackadoo. And obviously there's some mental issues at work here, but stealing a ladder truck, the question that you have to ask yourself also is, then what? You know, it's the magic
Right.
question of anything. If you have any kind of logical, linear thought process, you go, okay, I'm going to go do this. Then what am I going to do? It's what we ask in foreign policy discussions. Okay, then what? But no, I don't think there was a then what question in a criminal's mind when they go bucket truck. Yep, that's what I'm after today. And they just I don't even know where you can't hide a bucket truck.
Right, that event
really.
horizon becomes really, really close, really short. Like, okay, I got a bucket truck.
Yeah.
Yay, I win. What
You
some
know,
Grand Theft Auto stuff right here.
I guess it's a truck with a view, though. I guess you just park it somewhere and crank the bucket way up, and you got a beautiful view as the blue lights come from all directions to come round you up. You know,
that is one way to get high, I guess.
Yeah, it's the natural, organic way to get high.
So what's happening down in your neighborhood now that we have roasted this poor guy?
Well, I was in Brunswick last night. I was in North Brunswick last night. But you know, there's always a lot going on. Politics is a fickle, funny, bizarro world through which we see ourselves in many. Politics often a reflection of the value of people who participate in it, and it's just kind of
what
a
you're
bizarre
trying to
thing.
say is that we have the government we deserve.
Well, I'm also saying, thank God we're not getting all the government we pay for. So, we're 2+ years into a state of emergency. I don't think a lot of citizens realize that the governor still has us in a state of emergency, which gives the governor, it's the longest one in North Carolina history by far, and it gives that governor broad sweeping powers without any legislative oversight. And the governor has yet to say what it would take for us to get out from under it. What are the measures? If TK came to me and said, Chad, I want to do this, then you would talk about, okay, I want this piece of equipment, or we need to do this. Here's the budget, and here's what we want to accomplish with that. So right now we're in a state of emergency with literally none of that. We don't have an end goal. The governor hasn't said if we get below X number of cases or X number of hospitalizations or there's no metric. And the media, and I don't blame the governor so much, because having a quest for power is something that a lot of politicians unfortunately crave. But I blame the media for not holding them to account and asking them every time there's an opportunity to do so, what would it take for us to be out from under this state of emergency? What are the numbers you would use? Because most of us are going about our day-to-day lives. We don't realize we're still under a state of emergency. Now, it feels a little bit like that when you go to fill up your car now. It feels like, wait a minute, I can't believe that it takes, $50 to $100 to fill up my tank. If you have a 25-gallon tank. I had a car one time, TK, that had a 30-gallon tank. It was a former North Carolina State Highway Patrol car, one of my first vehicles. And it had this ginormous tank. And I'm thinking to myself now, 30 gallons, it'd be $120 to fill that sucker up. And it couldn't run on regular unleaded. It had to run on premium because
that was my navigator.
And I thought, oh my gosh! A funny story I'll relay. I was this is last year. I would love to play the story this year, but boats are notoriously horrific at any attempt at gas mileage. You never buy a boat for gas mileage. You buy a boat because you like spending money on things that you otherwise
have money to
would
spend.
not have spent the money on. You have to. If you take $100 bills, flush them down the toilet, and when that feels okay, go buy a boat. But I was filling mine up, but not all the way. But this was 6 months ago, and the wildlife guy was filling his big, nice, fancy boat up next to me. And I said, "Man, that must cost a lot of money." And it's a 200-gallon tank. Now think about that today. $800 to $1,000 to fill that sucker up. And I said, "Man, it must have cost a lot." And he looked at me, and I'm a conservative guy, right? And he says, "No, it cost you a lot." And he's so on point because he's got a credit card for the North Carolina taxpayers. And so we don't think about that. When we're filling our cars up, it's costing us. But think about every school bus, every state vehicle, every state trooper. It's costing us to keep those things operational. And that cost is going up astronomically. And we really pay for it twice. And you're also paying the cost of inflation, services and goods, because it costs more money to transport that. If you watch these 18-wheel guys fill up their trucks, there's tons of TikTok and other videos out there of these guys spending $1,000+ on their 18-wheelers. And that gets translated into, man, cost of bananas just went up. I can fly to Costa Rica and get bananas cheaper than I can buy. And I'm being facetious, but it's only to a point.
Right, because the fuel for airplanes has gone up as well.
Oh, the good news for airlines right now, if you're considering traveling, and I saw a survey this morning where about 68% of folks would consider altering their traffic plan or traveling plans at $4 a gallon gas. 75% of people consider altering their travel plans at $5 a gallon. The airline industry, the good news for them and for you to a lesser extent, or for the most part, is that we've been under this lockdown and these travels. So airlines have been notoriously empty for the past 2 years, and now they're enjoying a resurgence. But the price of fueling those jets up is going up astronomically. So, and they plan on future. If you ever, airlines are remarkable at logistics in a way that doesn't make sense to the layperson. Why does flying from Raleigh through Charlotte to Italy, why is that cheaper than flying direct from Charlotte to Italy? And it has to do with plane number of empty seats. Anyway, the point being is that the planes are now counting more bodies and seats, and they're doing everything they can in the industry to keep prices reasonable because planes are starting to fill up. So they're able to take advantage of that and try to keep prices low. So it's still relatively low, but it's going to start becoming a problem as gas continues to increase.
And that's just one of the joys we are experiencing right here in the
One of,
yes. And another experience we had, like down in Carolina Beach, that's Brunswick County as well, isn't it?
No, Carolina Beach, southern tip of, that's Pleasure Island, down the southern tip of New Hanover County.
So the Carolina Beach Town Council received enough pressure from the business owners that they have overturned their paid parking over the off-season. But they increased the cost of the parking pass from $100 to $225. One company owner, because his employees are not eligible for a parking pass, he has 4 of his own vehicles that he lets them use. And it was $400 last year. It's $900 this year.
Wow.
Isn't that
and
amazing?
that's only going to get a little more bizarre as more and more folks flock to the coast. They love the coast. Brunswick County, fastest growing county in the state. Wrightsville Beach basically has done everything they can to discourage people from coming over there. Now, the irony about all of these communities that discourage people from coming but want them to come is that they want you and me and the rest of the taxpayers of the state to pay for their bridges to get across to their beautiful islands. But they don't want you and I and others to come visit the islands with the bridges that we paid for. And you can see this in Brunswick County Islands. You can see this in other places as well, that it's a difficult balance. And freedom, never is there more an expression of the limits of freedom than anything to do with beach communities almost, whether you want to build a house, you want to park there. You can see the mentality of those that run those communities made manifest in that way. The parking gets ridiculous, or they discourage. They really don't want you there. You can tell they don't want you there, but the restaurants and the businesses want you there. They want you there, but if you make it impossible enough for people to visit, then those places will hurt. I mean, kids in college at UNCW and going over to Wrightsville Beach, very expensive.
Well, the people working, I mean, the guys trying to cut onions and make a living are being charged a third of their salary just to pay to park their car.
Downtown Wilmington has a similar problem. I mean, if you don't live in downtown and you work downtown, you have to pay unless because your restaurant wants to reserve spaces for customers.
Yep.
They don't want to give it to the staff because they're paying the staff. And so many people have had some good ideas over the year about being able to buy an annual parking fee so you can park on the street. It would change the dynamic a little bit and make things more affordable for folks who live, thrive, and survive in that area. But oftentimes it's interesting when there are good ideas, political types often look at things through the lens of their own bias rather than, hey, why don't we solve a given problem? I was fortunate to serve with a county commissioner one time that became a mentor and a friend when I was a county commissioner. And, he used to say, and it was a great line, that 90% of solving a problem is understanding it first. And I think so many times people go into a given set of problems with a foregone solution without really understanding the problem. And
they're trying to understand their solution to the problem more so than understanding the problem to apply an effective solution.
And when you do that, there's a couple things that happen. One, you lose the ability to be really innovative. And two, you become very dogmatic and you use non-innovative ways of solving problems. A good example of this, if you want to, is a few years ago in Wilmington, we had medallions for all of our taxi cab drivers. There were X number of medallions for taxi cab drivers. And the city was really wed to this idea that taxis, you need to have X number of taxis. Well, the problem with that, when you're not being innovative, is you don't need taxis at 9 o'clock on a Wednesday morning. You need a few taxis, but not many. Where you really need them is you need them on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night at 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning when people have been drinking downtown. But when you limited the number of taxis, you increased dramatically the number of drunk drivers. And this went on for years in Wilmington. Wilmington had a very easy way to catch drunk drivers. It limited the number of taxis. People took the chance to go home and took a bad chance and made a bad judgment. And so Wilmington was one of the highest DWI places per capita in the entire state. Well, lo and behold, Uber and Lyft come along, these companies that do ride sharing and make it cheaper to get around. But the taxis wanted to defend the medallions. And, of course, the city council wanted to defend their medallion mentality. And it caused a problem because all of a sudden people could use this, save a lot of money. And you know what happens with Uber and Lyft? It addresses when you need it. So people like TK and Chad that may want to drive and make a little extra dollars, we know we can get fares at 2 o'clock in the morning on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. You have fewer DWIs, you have fewer DWI accidents, fewer chances of death, more people getting home safely. It's an innovation that solved itself. The free market capitalism solved it against the wishes and desires of the special interest in city council.
Yeah, the established people that are making money on this. And to that end, another interesting take that I've had, and I wanted to get your opinion on someday, and this is just as good as any, on the issue of DUIs. It doesn't seem like it's a very effective formula that we have instigated where every now and again we bring the law up, but we lower the trigger or the threshold of DWI so that more of these cases are actually convicted. But it seems to be more about the money. They haven't done anything to actually turn it around as far as punitive or, accountability. They just make more cases eligible for DWI. So if you lower it from 0.10 to 0.08, there's a whole new range of cases that can be tried under that, right?
Right. You make it easier to prosecute and probably more difficult to convict. So, and also it's under the influence now. So there's a number of different substances that you can be driving while intoxicated or under the influence, and so that creates an.
Apparently, cocaine is not one of them, as we discovered from our joyriding buddy in Leland.
Yeah, well, he had a bucket truck, and he wasn't hopped up on anything that made him slow down, apparently. But but it is big money. That's the unfortunate reality. Is you have an entire legal system that is, and this is an interesting thing you bring up. I think there's two steps further down the road is. By doing this, you catch a lot more people. You create a windfall of profitability for the legal system. Now, I'm not advocating that anybody should drive in that condition ever, and I'm glad we do prosecute it. But the way we don't prosecute it swiftly, we let these things drag out for a year. You've got folks out there. I know of at least one instance where this prosecution has taken over almost 3 years now. That is a windfall for lawyers. And lawyers benefit, and lawyers are really good at not solving problems. And I'm not being disparaging of the species known as lawyers, but I'm saying they're not. You don't.
They're paid by the hour. They want it to drag out.
They're paid by the hour. So in every single instance, if you look at divorce law, there's a great example. Lawyers aren't rewarded for finishing up a divorce in a day. They're rewarded for finishing up a divorce on both sides over the course of a year or 2 years. Or I've got a friend now 7 years trying to get a divorce up in Greensboro, 8 years. And so the lawyers make a windfall. And so lawyers are not by training, they're to solve problems. They don't solve problems. And these massive lawsuits, I remember there's a movie you would probably like called, oh my gosh, it was Thank You for Smoking. And it's a great movie about the lobbying of the NRA and the smoking lobby and the drinking lobby, the alcohol lobby. And there's a line in there where this guy is talking to his kid. He's kind of paying attention. The kid says, "Hey, what's the greatest thing about the U.S. The government?" And he offhand says the endless appeal process. And he wasn't paying attention when he said it, but that is a very accurate statement. That we have this endless appeal process. We have this endless litigiousness in our country.
Oh,
we
yeah.
sue for everything. And when someone makes it, when someone gets that big legal settlement, we're like, yeah. Or 12 jurors get to give somebody $1 million from some company that they feel has the money. We don't think about the fact that $1 million or that whatever comes from, I mean, and it's a great way to sell things. And I'm glad we have a legal system, but it's gotten out of hand. And so that money must come from somewhere else. So what it comes is future products and services. They go up in price to cover that litigiousness. So there's a massive legal tax.
Because
on
they're
almost
not about to
everything
take
we
away
buy.
any of the bonuses or stock options from the
Well,
corporate
forget
owners.
this. Even if you did, there's still, one, we have this endless process of litigiousness. You do have to get the money from somewhere. It is ridiculous. I remember I was traveling in New Zealand one time, and somehow, me, I'll talk to about anybody. If the wall could talk back, I'd talk to it. But so I was talking to a guy and was talking to him about he was a lawyer, but he didn't say. I said, "Oh, you're a lawyer?" He says, "No, I'm a barrister." And I was like, "Oh," and he of course realized instantly I was an American. And the funny thing about that is he was kind of laughing. He says, "Here in New Zealand, that we just settle things. That's what barristers do. We're there to make sure deeds are recorded accurately. We don't have this. There's limits on all tort stuff. There's limits on all lawsuits. So you know what? When you have a limit on how much you can achieve, you don't have as many lawsuits. You just don't. When you can get billions and billions of dollars in lawsuits, people sue more. The beauty of that is it makes things a lot simpler. The courts are not crowded with these ridiculous lawsuits. I'm in one right now, TK, with the ACLU that has been suing our school over recognizing differences between girls and boys in kindergarten through fourth, fifth grade, that is now in year number 7. Year number 7, and millions of dollars spent that were supposed to be spent on kids has
You have
been
a line
spent
item,
on lawyers.
Right. You now have a budget line item of lawyer fees per
Yeah,
annum.
annually. That's not going to the kids. And we don't get money for buildings and stuff, that we have to find a way to make it without that. But that was the intent of the lawsuit, was to cripple. So if a large organization like the ACLU can cripple our school and try to put us out of business, that's what they've tried to do. Or we either fight them or we just do what they tell us to because we don't want to be sued. And unfortunately, so many charter schools around the country have just folded because they didn't have the ability and the kind of fiscal restraint that we do to be able to fight that lawsuit. So anyway, I kind of got way off track there, but the point being is lawyers don't typically solve problems. And I'm, again, not being disparaging to them. They benefit. The longer any given situation can be dragged out, the more they benefit from it.
And it's almost its own cottage industry that can carry the weight.
Cottage? Oh, no, it's a full-blown tourist industry.
Mecca.
It's not a cottage industry. It's a huge industry. So it's billions and billions of dollars every year in our
It's almost the MOD, or what do they call it, SOP.
Yeah, standard operating procedure.
For the entire species. Known as.
I mean, if a good example of this, if you're on the conservative side of the political aisle, is the cesarean section issue. Now, there was a guy named John Edwards in our state, became a U.S. Senator, extremely successful, charismatic lawyer, and he, due to certain lawsuits about pools and cesarean section, because of the problem that could be encountered through natural childbirth and the lawsuits that he was in large measure very successful at fighting, hospitals and doctors the number of C-sections went up about 6-fold after that rash of lawsuits, because doctors would rather do the C-section than the natural birth because they didn't want the lawsuits that may result from having natural childbirth, even though it's in the best interest of the mother and the child to move down that path. And charting those kind of things is remarkable. But again, successful lawyer changed the way we look at natural childbirth in this country. We have one of the highest cesarean sections in the entire industrialized world because of our lawsuits. And it hurts a lot of women, unfortunately.
Wow. And that's...
Anyway.
I did not know how you made that leap.
No, just litigiousness, just the nature of litigiousness and how much it affects us in society and costs us. But we're in a political world right now, and I don't know if it's true or that. I had a college professor said the original North Carolina Constitution said that pastors and lawyers were not allowed to run for office. And I'm about convinced that at the legislature you have to wonder, should lawyers be the ones making laws that only they can interpret and understand?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that would not be a good way to go.
And yet a large preponderance of legislators are lawyers. So,
well,
anyway,
that's what I've also noticed about a lot of our, appointees and cabinets, et cetera, is they have degrees in MBA and are lawyers, but have no background in medicine or security or whatever.
Exactly.
And that's always been a bit of a question for me. But anyway, I thank you so much for your time this morning.
Anyway, well, keep up the great work, man. You're doing fantastic, and I'm very proud of everything you've accomplished and what's yet to come.
And yes,
and after I make it through this weekend, I've got a memorial service for my parents this Saturday. But oddly enough, the 19th, a month to the day that my mother passed, and my father passed on the exact same day the year prior, both February the 19th. And just as coincidence worked out, we're doing a memorial service for both of them this Saturday, the 19th, down at Oak Island. Anyone's welcome to come, Oak Island at 801 Ocean, because they had lots of friends, and I don't even know how to reach all the people that whose lives they were a part of in some way. But I appreciate you being patient and Ted and everyone, because it's been a very crazy time for my sister, for myself, and anyway, just want to mention that. It's 3 to 5 p.m. at 801 Ocean, and I appreciate everything you're doing. Okay, TK?
Sure thing, man. And we will see you soon, certainly on the Chad Adams Show that I hope to bring back.
Oh,
Arise from the ashes. I'm going to hound you until your voice is back on the air more than mine.
Thank you, TK. And y'all have a great day.
Take care, man. And we will see you at the top of the hour now with our news and weather break from our friends at WAY. Please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on the Asylum, right here on the Big Talker. We never shut up.
Keeping Holden Beach informed. The Big Talker 106.7 FM WFBT, Carolina Beach. When you purchase a Golden Technology lift and sleep chair from US Med Express at 1733 Dawson Street, you get the benefit of a lift assist chair, a recliner, a memory button chair, a zero gravity chair, a Trendelenburg device, and a sleep chair, all in one of the most comfortable pieces of furniture you have ever experienced. Our chairs lead the industry in power lift recliner features and advances in technology. Our chairs are FDA certified as medical devices, which means it's 100% tax deductible, and helps with a number of medical conditions, including arthritis, poor circulation, and sleep apnea. Give us a call today at 910-500-6162 or stop by and experience our chairs for yourself at 1733 Dawson Street. That's 910-500-6162. 1733 Dawson Street in Wilmington. US Med Express.
Hello, I'm Jeff Rivenbark with WWAY News. Ukraine's president is preparing to make a direct appeal for more help in a rare speech by foreign leader to Congress today, even as Russia continues its bombardment of the Ukrainian capital. President Vladimir Zelensky suggested there is reason to be optimistic negotiations with the Russian government might yield an agreement. Zelensky says he thanks President Joe Biden and all the friends of Ukraine for $13.6 billion in new support. Meanwhile, in Brunswick County, what started as a small collection for Ukraine has ballooned into a major operation in Oak Island. Volunteers at Ocean View United Methodist Church have been collecting medical supplies, clothes, and baby products to send to refugees in Poland and Ukraine. They'll continue taking donations until noon today and then send everything to Wilmington, where the items will be loaded into cargo containers and shipped. Some Wilmington City leaders are working to get more federal support to help with an ongoing mold problem impacting subsidized housing units. Wilmington Mayor Bill Saffo and Councilman Clifford Barnett and Luke Waddell traveled to Washington, D.C. to meet with members of Congress and other federal officials. During the trip, they spoke with the Department of Housing and Urban Development about ongoing issues the Wilmington Housing Authority is facing, specifically with mold. And Governor Roy Cooper says North Carolina's economy has fully returned to the employment level it enjoyed before the pandemic. The state's economy recovered to pre-pandemic employment levels last July, with the GDP level recovering even earlier. The state's economy is expanding, with job growth being high relative to other states. However, with inflation and high gas prices affecting the whole country, Cooper says the state's government needs to find ways to make these costs more affordable while continuing to bring good-paying jobs to the state. For more on these stories, head over to WWAYTV3.com. I'm Jeff Rivenbark. Have a great day.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your Storm Track 3 forecast. Cloudy skies and mild temperatures are in store for us today. If you're away from the coast, we should get into the low 70s later this evening, but an area of low pressure will bring in some moisture to the Cape Fear region. Some heavier downpours looking likely later this evening. Even a low-end risk for a few strong to severe thunderstorms. Main concern will be gusty winds, but as we head into the overnight hours, showers should come to an end by Thursday morning as our temperatures remain mild, dropping down into the upper 50s and the lower 60s. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by Two Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to twomenandatruck.com. twomenandatruck.com.
Let MusicRewind.com transport you back to another era with 100 wartime memories. Enjoy the original recordings from the greatest artists from that time period, such as the Andrews Sisters, Duke Ellington, Dinah Shore, Glenn Miller, Doris Day, the Ink Spots, plus many more.
He's in the army now, a blowing reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B.
Order 100 wartime memories now at MusicRewind.com or call 800-206-5002 and pay only $21.98, an unbelievable value for 100 songs on 4 CDs. Plus, get a bonus of reduced shipping. Just enter or mention promo code WARTIME55. Go to MusicRewind.com or call 800-206-5002 now. Don't forget promo code WARTIME55. This offer is available for a limited time to U.S. residents only and cannot be combined with any other offer.
O'Leary's Automotive Repair has multiple locations in the area in Hampstead, Leland, the Myrtle Grove area, Ogden, and Wrightsboro. O'Leary's Automotive Repair, a trusted, locally owned business since 2006.
Morning, kids. If you haven't got the bus by now, chances are you're running a little late. That's right, get up, rise and shine, time to get moving. Right here on the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad, on the Big Talker Network, where we never shut up. It's a good day to be banging your head, hump day. It's also Riverwatch Wednesday. One of the voices of the river is with us this morning, Dr. Larry Cahoon of the Cape Fear Riverwatch organization. Another great morning to have him on here. The weather is looking up, the fishing is looking up, and apparently we are moving into a new season which has a high risk of pests that we don't like. And I think Dr. Cahoon can give us the rundown on the importance of keeping water moving. How are you doing this morning, sir?
I'm good, thank you. Good morning.
Thanks for joining us. So we
Sure,
saw an
you're
article
welcome.
recently about people pouring water from here to there and the importance of keeping the water moving. Can you unpack that a little bit for us?
I think the pests you were referring to, aside from the folks who call me constantly begging for money, which isn't seasonal at all, I think the pests you're talking about are mosquitoes.
That's one of them.
Yeah, and mosquitoes are, they can be a lot more than just annoying. For most of us, they're an annoyance. You don't like mosquito bites and so on, but they can be carriers of disease. And historically, in our area, that has been a major problem. You got to go back a ways, and thankfully that's much less of a problem now than it used to be. But this portion of the country, the southeastern U.S., matter of fact, all the way up to Philadelphia, used to have a problem with malaria.
Wow.
And yeah,
in this area,
back in colonial days, yeah,
okay.
all the way up to Philly. And the southeastern U.S. had a major problem with malaria. Yellow fever is another one. Wilmington had a major yellow fever outbreak during the Civil War, and it killed quite a few people, and really disrupted things in town. And of course, back in those days, there was very little understanding of how these diseases were transmitted. And so it made it very difficult to control them. They had some sense that the diseases were associated with swamps and wetlands, but the specific pathogens and the role of mosquitoes in carrying those pathogens wasn't always well appreciated. And there really wasn't a whole lot that could be done about it. There were a few things. In the history of the region, folks may have heard of Brunswick Town, which is now a historic site. That was one of the original settlements, and it's on the west bank of the Cape Fear River, down about 10, 15 miles from Wilmington. And that used to be, I don't want to say the port, but it was a place where vessels called. There are still the remnants of old piers there. And the problem with Brunswick Town, there were a couple. One is that it's low ground all around it, and that meant that the water supply was tenuous. And the other problem was that it was swampy in the area, and there were mosquitoes there. And those mosquitoes carried malaria and yellow fever and so forth. At some point, and I don't know the history in detail, but the folks living there figured out that, getting sick and being bitten by mosquitoes, whether they're related or not, these are bad things, and we don't like it. And they moved upriver and established the town of Wilmington. Wilmington, if you go downtown, you realize that the city itself sits relatively high above the river. Matter of fact, the elevation is 50 or 60 feet. And that provided two things that compared favorably to Brunswick Town. One was that you had springs along the riverbank going up the hill, generally at the foot of the hill, of course, but there were freshwater springs that ran pretty reliably all the time. And those springs are actually still there. They're just buried under pavement and buildings and everything else. Every now and then somebody manages actually to dig one up when they're renovating or whatever. But those springs were a ready supply of pretty clean fresh water, and that was attractive. The other thing, and this has more to do with mosquitoes, is that the elevation on the east bank of the river allowed the prevailing southwesterly winds during the summer, which is mosquito season, to blow the bugs away. You want to be out where it's windy so that the bugs don't have as much of a chance to find you. Now, if you get behind a building or in shelter, when it's cloudy or dark, they'll still find you. But compared to Brunswick Town, mosquitoes had a much harder time finding human victims on the heights of old Wilmington. So it was a relatively more benign and comfortable place to live. And so even though it was twice as far from the ocean up a river that was not dredged at that time, it was a far better place to live. So the history goes way back. Matter of fact, it goes farther back than that if you want to focus on malaria. Malaria is still a very, very difficult and dangerous disease. It's caused by a protozoan. The technical term is sporozoan. Those are parasitic protozoans. And the malaria life cycle is a very complex one. And the more you learn about it, the more interesting it gets. It's almost a perfectly evolved parasite. It's very difficult to treat, very difficult to eradicate, and we've had very little luck with it. We have prophylactic treatments, drugs like hydroxychloroquine, which you've heard of. We used to use atabrine. We've used a number of other compounds over the years to treat malaria, but we can't cure it. We can prevent it from causing major trouble, and we can administer these drugs prophylactically to limit the impact of it. But there really is no cure. There's no vaccine for it, and so our methods for dealing with it have been surprisingly effective, considering that we don't have a vaccine. Here in the southeastern United States, we have eradicated malaria.
Wow.
We managed to do it just after World War II. It's not really all that long ago, unless you're very young and you think that's ancient history. Several things happened that allowed us to eliminate malaria here in the southeastern United States. One was that we learned that, of course, it was mosquito-borne, so you get rid of the mosquitoes or limit the mosquitoes and you get rid of the malaria. And there were two big innovations that came along, and then a third that I'll talk about that's much less well known. The first of these was to ditch and drain swamps and wetlands. That's kind of a brute force way of controlling mosquitoes, and we stopped doing that quite a long time ago when we realized that swamps and wetlands have other values, flood control being one of those. Wetlands and swamps support a lot of life forms that we like, but to come back to your point about moving water, swamps and wetlands generally don't have a lot of moving water, and they're missing sometimes one of the other features that I'll talk about that's important in mosquito control. But draining swamps and wetlands was something we did right up into the 70s, and it had some effect on controlling mosquitoes. Another one of the big innovations, of course, was DDT, insecticides. DDT was the first widely used insecticide, and its use came into play long about World War II. We actually used it as a powder to dust off troops, to delouse people, and so forth and so on. And it was very effective. Killed everything. Matter of fact, we found out it killed a lot more things than we thought, and more things than we were comfortable with. So we banned DDT back in 1971. As a side note, one of the problems with DDT was that it accumulated up the food chain. And when you go to the top of the food chain in a coastal environment, you're talking about some of the top predators in the system. In our case, it was ospreys and pelicans. They're fish eaters. And you spray DDT into an aquatic system, a swamp or a wetland, and it works its way up the food chain, and it poisons those birds. The specific problem was that DDT interfered with calcification of their eggs. So they'd lay eggs whose shells were brittle, or non-existent, and so the eggs would rupture and the chicks would die and the population couldn't reproduce itself. We were down to maybe 100 ospreys at one point in the 1970s. And about 100 brown pelicans in the whole southeast. And when we banned DDT and that stuff worked its way out of the ecosystems, those birds staged a big comeback. Now, you go to the beach and you see pelicans all the time. They've come back quite well. Same thing with ospreys. They occupy somewhat different habitats, but you can cruise up and down the river and see osprey nests. They've come back quite well, too.
And it took 40
anyway,
years or
that's
so.
kind of, yeah, they're doing quite well now. So
but the environment,
getting rid of DDT was something we really felt we had to do. And the same thing is true with bald eagles, by the way. The national bird was endangered partly because of DDT. There was some illegal hunting that was a problem as well. But DDT was the big one. So, and the eagle populations have come back quite well since then. Anyway, we did use DDT to control mosquitoes, but, you know, it's not like you get rid of the mosquitoes once and they're gone. We still fumigate for mosquitoes occasionally. You'll see fumigation trucks going around certain communities after big hurricane events, for example, to control a mosquito outbreak. And we'll come to that again in a few minutes. The other innovation that was very clever, actually, was the use of window screens.
Huh?
Malaria is spread by mosquitoes, but it's a complex life cycle. A mosquito that is carrying the malaria parasite is attracted to humans who do not have malaria. They can actually smell you. And, of course, they come out at night. And if your windows are open, which they would be in the summertime in the South before air conditioning was widespread, they'd fly in and bite you. That would infect you with malaria. The parasite, once it's injected, goes to your liver, and it reproduces in there, and then it spreads through your blood system, and the parasite infests your red blood cells. And it basically consumes the material in the red blood cells, and then it bursts out of the red blood cells, but it does it in synchronous fashion. In other words, it's a whole wave taking place of red blood cells rupturing all at once in your body. And that's what causes the spiking fever that malaria victims experience. The ruptured red blood cells also clog up capillaries, tiny blood vessels, especially in your brain. One of the ways that malaria kills you, aside from the spiking fever alone, is this clogging of capillaries in the brain, and that causes severe headaches that are associated with malaria and basically cerebral dysfunction, in other words, brain death, and that'll kill you. So after the parasites have reproduced in some number of cycles like that, they go into another phase. And here's the interesting thing. A person infected with malaria actually gives off a special smell. Now, we humans can't smell it, but mosquitoes can. And mosquitoes that are not carrying the parasite, they're all the same species, by the way, are Anopheles. That's the name of the genus of mosquitoes that carry malaria. The Anopheles mosquitoes that are not infected already are attracted to a human who's infected with malaria. They give off a special smell, and the mosquitoes are attracted to that. If there's 10 people sleeping in a house and one of them has malaria, the mosquitoes will bite that person, pick up the parasite, which then allows the parasite to go through further development in the body of the mosquito, which is then infected, of course.
Right.
That mosquito will then be attracted to people who don't have malaria and will bite them. The parasite is actually in control.
Wow.
It's an amazing thing. Yeah, it's an amazing thing to think about. This protozoan has basically developed the ability to program mosquito behavior to spread itself through the population.
Yeah.
So, after World War II, window screening became widely available, even if air conditioning wasn't. Poor people in particular couldn't afford air conditioners. They were expensive, and the electricity cost a lot of money.
But they
But
could
there were
staple a
campaigns.
screen.
Yep, exactly. Public health people went around and made sure that every household had screens on their windows. It was very simple. You didn't even need the modern storm window type thing where you've got a series of interchangeable glass panes and screens. You just nail a screen over the window.
Yep.
Very simple. Kept the mosquitoes out, interrupted the chain of transmission, and all of that, the DDT, the ditching and draining, and the window screening got rid of malaria. So, how do we control mosquitoes? We don't have a malaria problem now because that species of mosquito that transmits it doesn't live here anymore. But there are other mosquito-borne diseases that we do need to be concerned about. We're also concerned that some of these more tropical diseases may be on their way back because of climate change. But in the meantime, there are mosquito-borne diseases right now that occur in the United States. Some of them are recent arrivals, like West Nile virus. That one came over about 20 years ago. Literally, I mean, West Nile, right? The Nile is in Egypt. Well, it made its way here.
Probably on a peak.
Eastern equine encephalitis is another one. Equine means horses. It's primarily a problem for horses, and of course there are people who keep horses here in this region. I ride around on my motorcycle and I see these horse farms, so it's a real concern for them, but people can get that disease too. And it's a viral thing. Viruses are a lot tougher to treat. West Nile virus, Eastern equine encephalitis, we don't have good therapeutics for those. So, you really don't want to get infected with. Yeah, you don't want to catch those. They're rare, thankfully, but you don't want to catch them. There are other mosquito-borne diseases that we fear may reemerge as climate change allows warmer winters, which allow mosquitoes to overwinter and survive. Some species can handle extreme cold better than others. If you've ever been up to Minnesota, I remember canoeing the Boundary Waters canoe area with a buddy many years ago up in Minnesota. And we kind of had a choice between mosquito season, which is all summer long, or black fly season, which is only a portion of it. And we managed to minimize black flies, but every time we stuck the boat on our head to portage from one pond or lake to another, it was mosquito season. And we were constantly surrounded by a cloud of them. And it's Minnesota, right? So those mosquitoes up there clearly can handle severe winters.
An adaptive species.
Yeah, they're real good at it. They may not do much during the winter, other than hibernate or whatever you call it, but they sure as hell took advantage of us in the summer. I donated a lot of blood to them. Fortunately, they weren't carrying anything nasty. They were just obnoxious. But other species of mosquitoes don't tolerate cold very well, and so if winters don't get cold enough to extirpate them, they will become resurgent, and that's a problem. And if you look at weather and climate data, one of the things that you see for the southeastern U.S. is that our winters, despite the occasional cold fronts, have become milder and milder. Among other things, I used to scuba dive, and back in the day, the coastal water temperatures would get down into the high 30s, right? I remember diving in 38-degree seawater, and it doesn't get down below 50 anymore. So we get much warmer winters, and that may allow some of these other species to penetrate this region again. And then there's a list of diseases we worry about. I'm trying to think of all the names. Dengue fever is one that is pretty high on the list. Dengue is spelled D-E-N-G-U-E.
Yeah, that's a World War II one too, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. Our troops, especially in the Pacific Theater, encountered that one. They call it breakbone fever because the pain from that viral infection is so bad you feel like your bones have broken. That's a real nasty one, and we're concerned that one is resurging. We haven't seen it much in the United States. I think South Florida is just beginning to have a little problem with it. There's another one, and I'm trying to get the name straight in my head. May not have had enough coffee yet. It begins with a CH. Chikungunya. That's a relatively new one on the radar.
I thought that was a Chinese dinner.
Yeah, I was thinking chimichanga, but that's something you get in Mexican restaurants.
Yeah, that's Deadpool right
yeah.
there.
No, it's chikungunya. I think I'm pronouncing it right. And that's another pretty nasty viral disease transmitted by mosquitoes. And you see that in the warmer tropics and in South America, Central America. I think there's some of it in the Caribbean. And that one, again, is nasty. One of the reasons that we worry about these diseases, aside from, they're viral and we tend not to have good treatments for them, we only have decent vaccines for a few of these diseases. There's actually a yellow fever vaccine. I had that before I went off to Peru many years ago, and that's reasonably effective. As I said earlier, we don't have a vaccine for malaria. There's been a hell of a lot of work done trying to create one, but the life cycle is so complicated, and the virus or the protozoan does such a wonderful job of hiding inside of our own cells that it's very difficult to get at it. And a lot of very good minds have put a lot of time and effort and research into trying to figure out how to defeat malaria, but it's still the number one killer out there.
But our best defense is abatement of these little bastards in the first place.
Yeah. And the measures that we take to control it, to prevent infection, that's really the key, is prevent getting it. In the tropics, we try to make sure that children especially who are potentially exposed to it and more vulnerable, they don't have the physical reserves to fight it off as well as adults might. We try to use pesticide-treated netting over their beds at night because it's nighttime bites that are really the problem. The mosquitoes don't like being out in the daytime as much. One of the things is about those bugs, they can see us glow in the dark. They can actually
like a heat signature
see infrared or heat radiation. We can't. We see red light, but we don't see infrared. They can see in the near infrared. And so a human being, we're warm-blooded, in the dark glows to them.
And we
so
glow
they can
more
spot
because
us.
we don't have fur like a dog.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, we give off heat, and, we have very little protection on our skin. So they see us quite readily. If you want to go out and play bug bait, whether it's no-see-ums or mosquitoes, even during broad daylight, if you stay in shaded areas or if it's cloudy, bugs will come out and they'll find you because you glow. And only when you're out in bright sunlight where everything is glowing to them are you essentially hidden.
Yeah, you kind of blend in.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're just as bright as everything else. So at night, we really stick out, and that's when they come out and forage for prey like us. Coming
of course,
back
we're
to
asleep,
stagnant
so
water.
we start just scratching in our sleep, which makes it worse.
Yeah, it doesn't help. That's right. Yeah. So if you're covered with mosquito netting, especially if it's impregnated with some pesticide that will kill or put off the bugs, you're pretty good shape. But out in the open, no, you're bug bait. Stagnant water. Mosquitoes rely on water as part of their life cycle. They lay their eggs in the water. The eggs hatch into larvae, and mosquito larvae grow up in the water. They're actually quite large. If you've got a bucket of water that's been sitting out for a while during the summer, and you go look at it, you may see these little things thrashing around in there. They like stagnant water, typically temporary bodies of water, and this is important. You don't find them usually in permanent ponds or streams. Partly it's the flow in a stream would wash them downstream and so forth, but in permanent ponds and streams, you have small fish. Mosquito larvae are sitting ducks for small fish. There's literally a species we call mosquito fish. The science name is Gambusia, and they eat mosquito larvae. And they do a great job of it. Yeah. They do a fabulous job of that. So if you've got a permanent pond, mosquito larvae are going to have a hard time growing up because the fish will eat them. It's important to have permanent bodies of water in this context because if the pond dries up, the fish die. Okay, so if you've got a permanent body of water, these fish can become established, and they will eat those mosquito larvae. It's only the temporary ponds or puddles or buckets of water or,
even
discarded tires. Anything like that will hold water for a little while. The mosquitoes, as adults, are drawn to water to lay their eggs after they've had a blood meal from one of us or whoever. And they only need maybe 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, depends on the species, for their larvae to grow up and become adult mosquitoes and fly off. So they don't need much time. So the control measure that we need to think about all the time, and you'll get this advice when we have the run-up to a big hurricane or anything like that. They'll tell people, make sure you drain all of the buckets and spare tires and other things that hold water temporarily so that we don't support a mosquito bloom. It's going to happen anyway, but we can certainly limit how much of that happens, especially around our homes.
And it can be just inadvertent.
Yeah. That's right. Even a big rain event that leaves puddles and such of standing water for very long. If it's on the ground, it'll soak in after a few hours. But if you've got hard containers, I've got rain barrels, but I've got screening over the openings so that mosquitoes can't get in. But if you've got open buckets, open containers of any kind, old discarded tires were classics. People decide to get rid of a tire and they throw it out in the woods. Well, the tires are capable of holding water long enough to allow mosquitoes to breed in there.
Yep.
Bad news. This is one of the reasons we try to stop that kind of behavior. Pick up those old tires and make sure they're disposed of properly.
And retention ponds, that sort of thing.
Yeah, retention ponds, if they're permanent, those fish species will become established. It's remarkable. A lot of these fishes have natural mechanisms to spread out and colonize permanent bodies of water. And we're pretty sure it's the fish eggs that are hardy enough to be transported from one pond to another by wading birds and so forth, raccoons and whatnot. If you build a pond and it's got a permanent standing pool of water in it, the fish will come. It's really amazing to watch. I grew up loving to fish, and I realized, from looking at these ponds that no matter what you do, you build a permanent pond, it'll have little sunfish and sooner or later largemouth bass and a bunch of smaller fish like mosquito fish showing up on their own. They have evolved the ability to spread their eggs with some help from one pond to another, and no human intervention is required.
That's pretty nifty.
Yeah, it's amazing. Here on campus at UNCW, where I'm a professor, we have some number of ponds. Some of them are ornamental and whatnot. And, of course, we don't stock them. We don't want students fishing in them because they're supposed to be in class, right? Although I do see students fishing occasionally.
Go Huckleberry Finn.
Yeah, right, exactly. But we have sunfish and we have largemouth bass in these ponds. And no humans put them there. They got there on their own. So
that's pretty amazing.
If you build a permanent body of water, the fish will show up. And many of them, especially the little fellas, the very small fishes, whether they're juvenile sunfish or largemouth bass or whatever, they'll eat mosquito larvae too. So we tend not to see a lot of mosquito problems associated with the permanent ponds where you have a healthy small fish population. Same thing with streams. The streams tend to have lots of small fish. Mosquito larvae, if you watch them for very long, you realize they wiggle around, but they have no escape behavior. I mean, they're really pathetic.
Themselves.
Yeah, that's right. They just kind of wiggle, which attracts attention from visually orienting predators like small fish, and they're really good at catching mosquito larvae. So the mosquitoes have very little chance in a body of water that's got fish in it.
Now, what about these sprinklers or fountains that you see in different ponds? Is that designed to keep the water agitated, or what's...
Yeah, that's primarily for,
or is it just completely
decorative? One is that, it's decorative, but also to aerate the water. And that's not a bad idea. Yeah. The aeration, of course, helps the fish populations survive. They need dissolved oxygen in the water to breathe. And so a fountain can help maintain the oxygen levels, especially in the summer when it gets hot. And that'll help the fish population stay. So that's a good thing.
Okay, so it's more important for that than abatement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I need to pivot if I can because we're, running long, and I appreciate your time, but I understand there's an event, the Go Fish Eating Safer from the Cape Fear River event coming up March 27th, a partnership with the Duke University Superfund, North Carolina State Cooperative, and the Coastal Federation.
Right.
And in this, you're discussing safe fishing?
Yeah. We realize that a fair number of folks, especially folks who are economically disadvantaged, we'll say, who fish for food. And so they want to eat the fish they catch from the river. The problem, if there is one, it depends, is that some of these fish are high up enough on the food chain that they bioaccumulate certain toxicants. The major concern in North Carolina has typically been mercury. Mercury can pass up the food chain. Mercury is a particularly dangerous toxicant for pregnant women, women of childbearing age, and younger children because it's a neurotoxicant. It damages brain development. And so we worry about people eating fish that might contain too much mercury. North Carolina has fish consumption advisories out for largemouth bass, bowfin, or they sometimes call them blackfish, and chain pickerel, I believe, in addition to some number of marine species of fish. The general rule of thumb is that the bigger the fish, the higher up the food chain it eats, and the longer the time it has to accumulate mercury. Mercury tends to sort into the fattiest part of the fish tissue. And so one of the recommendations we have is that you avoid the darker, the fattier meat, and try to make sure that you eat only the whiter, less fatty meat. The advisory is just that. It's not a hard and fast rule. We advise people to eat those fishes no more than a certain amount of servings per month or per week. The big risk, again, is for women of childbearing age, pregnant women, and young children. Old guys like me, who cares, right?
We're already
How
there.
could you tell if I had brain damage, right? That's a joke. But seriously, we try to protect the most vulnerable part of the population, and I've described who that would be. There's
no real way to process it,
fish,
right? It's not like taking in a bad onion, you know, and having a tummy ache for a couple of days. This is something that stays with you like luggage.
Yeah, I mean, we're top predators too, so we bioaccumulate whatever is in what we eat.
That's a good reminder.
Yeah. So, think of yourself as a really big largemouth bass. And the more bass you eat, the more mercury you're going to accumulate from them. We do eliminate some of that mercury very slowly. That's why the advisories say no more than one meal per month or something like that. You don't want to accumulate a lot of it. This is not to say that the fish are unsafe to eat. It's that you want to make sure that you understand the guidelines. And the event that you mentioned on the 27th is to explain to folks, for this species of fish, here are the risks that you should be aware of, and here are the guidelines for eating that fish safely. In addition to mercury, there are places in the river where we have concerns about arsenic. I remember some discussion about chromium as well. Chromium and arsenic are compounds found in treated lumber.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that, piers and docks and that sort of thing, and they leach those metals. Chromium apparently was found not to be a problem in the Cape Fear in terms of the fish that were tested. It's a limited amount of testing that's been done. But arsenic was found to be problematic for a few circumstances. I don't recall exactly which ones, but it's worth going to that event to find out. And, again, rule of thumb is the bigger the fish, the more careful you want to be with it. Species like sunfish that feed lower down the food chain, smaller individuals, and there are size limits and so forth that you should respect. But as a rule of thumb, the really big ones, that would be a problem. So if we go all the way to the very tip top of the food chain and you go out there and catch a 60-pound flathead catfish, I would be reluctant to eat that.
Chances are
that
high
thing
it's going to
is
have
old enough.
stuff.
Yeah, it's going to have a mercury problem for sure. I'm not sure what I would do with it. Flatheads, by the way, are invasives. They were deliberately stocked in the Cape Fear for game fishing back in the 60s.
Whoops.
Turns out they eat everything else. And so catching and killing a flathead is not a bad thing, but just don't eat it.
Okay, that's a good point. And it's a free event being held. I'm trying to find it at the goodness, where'd it go? I know it's being hosted with the Poor Piggies barbecue truck, food truck, and To Go Boys. At the New Hanover County Arboretum.
Ah, okay.
Right?
That sounds right. That's off Oleander. Yeah.
And it's a free event, I guess.
Yep.
Nice. Well, we're going to look
Public
forward
benefit.
to that.
Yep.
Again, that's March 27th from 1 to 4 p.m. And we've been talking with Dr. Cahoon about the water abatement process to help keep the water moving to abate the mosquitoes so we don't get ate up this year. We are in charge of that. That's a problem we can fix just by emptying the buckets in our yard after a rainfall.
Yep, standing water. Make sure there's not much of that around.
Well, Dr. Cahoon, I thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to talking with you
welcome.
next week.
Yep.
And we will see you again on Cape Fear Riverwatch Wednesday. And right now, we got to take a news break and take a few words from our sponsors and supporters. And we'll be right back here in the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad.
Hello, I'm Jeff Rivenbark with WWAY News. Ukraine's president is preparing to make a direct appeal for more help in a rare speech by foreign leader to Congress today, even as Russia continues its bombardment of the Ukrainian capital. President Vladimir Zelensky suggested there is reason to be optimistic negotiations with the Russian government might yield an agreement. Zelensky says he thanks President Joe Biden and all the friends of Ukraine for $13.6 billion in new support. Meanwhile, in Brunswick County, what started as a small collection for Ukraine has ballooned into a major operation in Oak Island. Volunteers at Ocean View United Methodist Church have been collecting medical supplies, clothes, and baby products to send to refugees in Poland and Ukraine. They'll continue taking donations until noon today and then send everything to Wilmington, where the items will be loaded into cargo containers and shipped. Some Wilmington city leaders are working to get more federal support to help with an ongoing mold problem impacting subsidized housing units. Wilmington Mayor Bill Saffo and Councilman Clifford Barnett and Luke Waddell traveled to Washington, D.C. to meet with members of Congress and other federal officials. During the trip, they spoke with the Department of Housing and Urban Development about ongoing issues the Wilmington Housing Authority is facing, specifically with mold. And Governor Roy Cooper says North Carolina's economy has fully returned to the employment level it enjoyed before the pandemic. The state's economy recovered to pre-pandemic employment levels last July, with the GDP level recovering even earlier. The state's economy is expanding, with job growth being high relative to other states. However, with inflation and high gas prices affecting the whole country, Cooper says the state's government needs to find ways to make these costs more affordable while continuing to bring good-paying jobs to the state. For more on these stories, head over to WWAYTV3.com. I'm Jeff Rivenbark. Have a great day.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your Storm Track 3 forecast. Cloudy skies and mild temperatures are in store for us today. If you're away from the coast, we should get into the low 70s later this evening, but an area of low pressure will bring in some moisture to the Cape Fear region. Some heavier downpours looking likely later this evening. Even a low-end risk for a few strong to severe thunderstorms. Main concern will be gusty winds, but as we head into the overnight hours, showers should come to an end by Thursday morning as our temperatures remain mild, dropping down into the upper 50s and the lower 60s. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by Two Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to twomenandatruck.com. twomenandatruck.com.
Hey everyone, Ben Hawkins here with Cross Country Mortgage. Rates are still at historic lows, and there has never been a better time to purchase your dream home or refinance your existing. With over 300 loan products including conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, renovation, and jumbo, we are certain we have the right loan product for you and your family. Call me today to be pre-qualified to make the offer on your next dream home. 910-352-3373 or visit my website at lendwithben.com.
I'm a construction superintendent working on a new housing project in the area. I've always loved being a part of a construction crew, watching the plans come to life. But I wanted more. I went to CFCC and trained in construction management technology. Now my skills allow me to have the life I once dreamed of. I make great money and can get a job anywhere. I got my start at CFCC, and you can too. Visit cfcc.edu/trades and get started today.
Hi, this is Justin Humphreys from the Humphreys Law Firm on Eastwood Road. Tune in Thursdays from 6 to 7 p.m. for Objection to the Form, covering civil litigation, real estate issues, and intellectual property. That's Objection to the Form, Thursdays 6 to 7 p.m. right here on the Big Talker 106.7 FM.
There it is. Jumped the gun a little bit. Welcome back to the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad, right here on the Big Talker Network. Please visit our website at bigtalker.live. Listen Live tab is there. Our schedule is there. There's an email link. You can send us any comments, questions, concerns, critiques, or compliments. We can't get better without your help. Great conversation with Dr. Cahoon from the Cape Fear Riverwatch in the Cape Fear area, talking about what's coming, baby. Them mosquitoes is coming for you and me because we glow like a light bulb in the dark. And that's a good point. I mean, we may not be insectologists ourselves. I think the term is entomologist. I get it and etymologist mixed up, which is not to be confused with edamame, but we'll go there elsewhere. The idea being even a bottle cap, I think, when I read the little pamphlet about mosquitoes, because when they come around and abate your neighborhood, they let you know that they're going to come and fumigate your stuff, right? They're going to come and shoot chemicals, because like in my case, my house where I lived had a drainage ditch running in the right of way between the road and my property, and that was the drainage ditch for the water from the road. And then the truck would come through, and since we were part of the neighborhood, before the truck came through, they would put these little things on our doors saying, you know, you're part of the fumigation. We're going to come through on, you know, the first Tuesday of every month or whatever, and spray our little truck through here because of the rainy season. And on there, it was describing, you know, the different species of mosquitoes and how you can tell them apart and where they fly in their relative altitudes. Like some are at the ankle level, some are at the knee level, some are at the hip level, some are at the neck, right? They like to stay in their little zone and their little life cycle and things like that. And one of the things that they pointed out was a bottle cap. Like, I drink a lot of Mountain Dew in the bottle, and just the bottle cap can breed 7 to 10 mosquitoes in a week. So if you have a bottle cap that you're not paying attention to and it has a little bit of water in it, it only needs that for about a week, and you have 7 new mosquitoes. Thank you. So one of the, you know, things to do is to not keep the water standing. Keep it moving. Let it get back into the ground. Let it get back through the filtering. Let it get back to the water table. Let it get back into your well so that you can drink it again, hopefully through a reverse osmosis process of some sort. And see if we can't get some awareness going on this, if we haven't already. It seems the entire community has known about this. And it's one way to avoid it. I mean, it's good to know that with simple processes, instead of trying to poison the entire environment with DDT, which, whoops, simple things like window screening and just stapling it up over the open windows of a house. No big deal. Very simple, very cheap, very effective. Same thing with keeping buckets upside down in your house. Not in your house, around your house. You know, make sure the gutters are flowing free. And knowing that we are part of their life cycle is a little disturbing, actually, now that I recognize it for what it is. But that's one of the things we have to pay attention to, because it does affect us directly. and we can take care of it. Certainly, the closer they are to us, the more likely they are to bite us. So if we take care of the standing water that is nearest to the places we like to hang out, the least likely we are going to get victimized by these little predators, by these, oh man, words I cannot use on this platform. How much I love these guys. Now, what you guys think of as mosquitoes are still not quite the mosquito population species of pterodactyls that we have in the Southwest, certainly in New Mexico and the Rio Grande Valley, because of how our water cycle works and, of course, the mosquito seasons. They have grown large and hardy, right? Everything in the desert is a little bit smaller, thinner, lighter, and less likely to lose water to the sunshine and hot and dry environment, right? And these things have turned into little drones. I mean, they are massive. But they still know how to spread their weight out far enough that you do not detect it. If you are not moving, even if you're sweating, it doesn't matter. These guys are vicious. But then again, most of them seem to be evolving to become larger and larger because we as humans are becoming larger and larger. And if your food supply grows, so do you. I mean, the more Doritos we make, the bigger we get. The more Cheetos we make, the more Mountain Dew. Wait, stop it. You're getting on my Mountain Dew now. We may have to end the show early just so I can go protect my stash. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a wonderful morning. I do feel it necessary to now protect my stash because I'm feeling attacked by myself. That's how woke I am. I'm so woke that I almost canceled my own Mountain Dew because it might spread malaria through the bottle cap. And through myself, the bottle cap allowing the larva to grow and myself getting larger to provide more food for more of them to spread more of their malicious, nefarious parasites with them to infect others and animals and such. So we'll just stop it there and let you know that we're going to be back with an all-new show in the morning. Heard Tell at 6 o'clock, The Asylum at 7, and Consumer Choice starting right after. There it is. All right, we'll see you tomorrow on The Asylum right here on the Big Talker Network. Thanks.
Keeping Leland informed. The Big Talker 106.7 FM WFBT, Carolina Beach.
Let MusicRewind.com transport you back to another era with 100 wartime memories. Enjoy the original recordings from the greatest artists from that time period, such as the Andrews Sisters, Duke Ellington, Dinah Shore, Glenn Miller, Doris Day, the Ink Spots, plus many more.
He's in the army now, a blowing reveille. He's the boogie-woogie bugle boy of Company B.
Order 100 wartime memories now at MusicRewind.com or call 800-206-5002 and pay only $21.98, an unbelievable value for 100 songs on 4 CDs. Plus, get a bonus of reduced shipping. Just enter or mention promo code WARTIME55. Go to MusicRewind.com or call 800-206-5002 now. Don't forget promo code WARTIME55. This offer is available